they play the song that's playing on the radio that they have in the car is the same song that they played on the piano together.
Yeah.
So with that said,
The government are all Nazis.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 106 of Press Any Key. You can find us on all social media at pressantykey.tv. Like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friends. Good stuff. With me, as always, is my co-host, Nick McFly,
Yo.
Mike Burke, and tonight, a very special guest, everyone. Give it up for ZLove, my good friend.
Wow.
He's here. We are here to talk full-on spoilers of the first season of The Last of Us. So if you haven't watched it yet, go watch that shit and then come back here and find out our narcissistic thoughts on it, because that's why we do this show.
Spoiled. There's no love in the world anymore.
Except for ZLove.
Starting off strong.
There's gonna be only chaos tonight, and I do mean that with my full chest.
Good.
Nice.
You're perfect for this show then.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I have a feeling you're going to regret those words in about
That's fine.
25
I'm okay
minutes.
with it.
So basically, to get started, like I said, we've got no time for anything else. We're just gonna hit the ground running with this. So I have kind of timed out how much time we have to talk about each individual episode. I have summaries of each episode before we talk about it, just real quick ones. I have some bullet points. This motherfucker came here with an essay.
That's right.
And so let's just get right into it. So, episode 1, when you're lost in the darkness. This one was just introduction for the entire cast and the setting of the show. So basically, 2003, fungal infection breaks out. There was some theory
Which is different than the game. Game is 2013.
That's right. Yes,
2013.
Well,
it breaks out.
they brought it back so this way it would line up with the current year.
They really did a really good job at making everyone have an existential crisis while we watch this.
Yeah,
it was
that's
really
true.
great. It only feels so terrifying at every moment.
Basically, this is the episode where obviously Joel loses his daughter. Tommy and Joel split after a certain number of years, and then Joel's living in the QZ in Boston, and his whole thing is that he wants to get a car. Right? They need a car battery because that's what they changed from the game, right?
Why does he need the car battery?
Oh, they need to find Tommy.
They needed the car battery to find Tommy, but instead they exchange for they get Ellie and no car.
They like, well, not on purpose though. It's so in the game they need Tess and Joel. They're still smugglers, but they need weapons for an undisclosed reason. That is what we're told. We need weapons so that we can kill people. And in this, I think what the game on a whole, or sorry, not the game, but the show on a whole, what it does a whole lot better than the game. And I love this game. Hi, camera. A little background about me. I fucking love this series. I don't know if it's clear about the. I don't know if it's clear about the. I
hate it.
I don't know if it's clear about
the game.
Anything. I love everything about The Last of Us. It's my favorite.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
Because for an actor, I think it's just like both the game and the series as a whole is like the meatiest type of storyline that you can give to someone to like play off of. It's emotion driven, it's character driven, and that's like, as a gamer, that's what I thrive off of. But then also as just like a consumer of media, that's what I thrive off of. Because if I don't care about people, I don't really want to watch it.
What's the point?
Yeah, and so like what I like a lot more about the series than I do about the game, and I think this is just like Neil Druckmann doing a really cool thing about like hindsight is 2020, is he says, all right, cool, you could get away with like not really explaining a lot at the beginning of this game, other than the fact that like Sarah dies, Tess and Joel have some sort of friendship relationship where they need to smuggle things. But what I like about it is that they right off the bat, you give Joel purpose, because there really isn't like any sort of purpose for Joel in the game to still be alive, other than the fact that he's a human and he wants to be alive. But it's so clear that the world is so bleak that and it sets up a really, really awesome through line for him, is that the only thing that matters to Joel is family. That's the only reason that he's still alive.
Which
and
is good because they bring that back up. They didn't put that in the game. No. They did not put that in the game. However, they do come back to that, and we'll get to that later. But yeah. So as far as first episode goes, I don't think there was a better pilot I've ever seen in TV history. Like I truly mean that. at least out of the shows that I've seen, one of my favorite shows of all time was Breaking Bad, and even that had a slow start. Like, that took a couple episodes for me to really get into it, when I feel like this was just right off the bat, we're ready to go. Like, you get introduced to all your characters, they set up the plot, and originally, this episode was actually shorter. However, when they turned it into HBO told them to actually make it longer and introduce Ellie in the first episode, so this way, audience had something to latch onto as far as her character is
and
concerned.
told them to not end the show on Joel throwing a kid in the fire. That was like because that was, and honestly, from like an artistic standpoint, that's a pretty damn good final shot. Like it shows like, oh shit, he is not the same guy after 20 years. But it's also like, ooh, you just threw a kid's dead body in the fire, and I don't really know if I want to watch it. And I think it's a good call from a showrunner standpoint, because like obviously us sitting here would continue to watch, but that doesn't mean that someone like 50-year-old Nora sitting at home being like, I wonder what The Last of Us is about.
I'm glad you gave her a name.
Nora,
That made her real.
Nora will continue. Well, that's an accidental
We
Easter
did a
egg.
show with Nora, and Nora has been posting on Facebook about this
No
whole
way.
show every week. Yeah.
Every week.
She's out
I
there.
just can't get over how much I love Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, you think this is a bit?
This
but
is
I'm
not.
being
This is not a
serious.
Nora thing. America has
Yeah.
Pedro
Oh, yeah.
fever.
That's true. They welcome to TikTok for the last like 3
Pedro
months.
and Jenna Ortega are the hottest
Yeah.
things in Hollywood
100%.
right now. So,
And
Mike,
I'm not mad about it.
I want to make sure everybody has time to talk about the episodes. So, Mike, I'm going to pass it off to you real quick. What do you think about this episode for right off the bat?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with everything you said. I love the like split cut and the jump cut of time in this episode is really, really, really what did it for me, because you see Joel in the most emotional you ever see Joel, losing his daughter, and then you see basically the jump cut to him burning a child. So you just have that complete deadness inside of him that throughout the season, in which we'll see when we get to the final episode, that it beautifully comes back, and it comes back exactly as you said. It's about family. It's about him as a father.
What about you, Nick?
I mean, for me, the series as a whole started off, the first 3 episodes, I think, were probably the strongest of the entire series for me. I don't personally think we needed as much intro time in 2003. I think we probably could have trimmed that down a bit, because I thought the game was so economical about the pacing. Even though we didn't get to know Sarah really well in the game, you knew that this man was destroyed by her death.
Right.
That being said, I didn't hate it. I just thought we probably didn't need all of that. But
I think it's a little more tough though in that kind of aspect. Is if you're trying to set it up, you're not playing as Joel in the show,
Right.
So you don't have that kind of character like tie in immediately. He's not like an analog for you, so we have to build it up
and
to
Joel,
then kind of do that.
Joel's not your first playable character in the game. It's Sarah.
Sarah's
your first playable character, and because of that, I think that's like
You have an attachment to her.
Yeah, and I think I don't disagree. I think we probably could have spent a little less time in 2003. But what I like about how much time you spend in 2003 is that
The Tamagotchis.
the Tamagotchis and the Pepsi cans that don't look the same anymore. No, but I think the real thing is that like if you've never watched it before, you don't care about Sarah the way that we probably do, because you already know what's going to happen. And when you're playing as Sarah, even if it's for 5 minutes, you're automatically way more attached.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's you. And when you can't save a character that you're playing as, you automatically feel responsible. Whereas in this show, if you don't know anything about the show, your immediate thought is, oh, Sarah's a main character.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I was going to say, it also sets the expectation in the game, because the playable character that you start out as shouldn't die 5 minutes after you fire up the game.
Right.
The other thing I just wanted to bring up real quick, specifically about spending more time in 2003, which I do agree. I think maybe they spent a little bit too much time there. However, they got smart with the writing. They put little things in front of your face. You got to see the infection actually start to take hold of people. You got to see the infect. I almost called them zombies. You get to see the
cordyceps.
the cordyceps take over people.
cordy.
Like the old woman. Remember, she doesn't want the raisins. They can't have the pancakes. Like, you see it slowly start to trickle out. And that's what I really appreciate about that.
It ranks number 8 on my episode ranking.
I should have done
shit.
Oh, we should have done that.
Damn.
You fools. You fools. I told you I'd bring chaos. No,
You brought organization.
That's true. Which sometimes is just chaotic. No, it's number 8, and not because it is bad, but because it sets up a really phenomenal series. But I even I don't feel like I need to go back and watch it again unless I rewatch the series.
All right, with that
I
said,
think real quick before we move on, a running theme for me with the whole series is that I could have used more. I feel like the main plot, we really rushed through everything. So this episode 3, the episode in the mall, those all detract from the thrust of the story. So really, not detract, but I mean, remove time. So really, this whole series is 6 episodes of the trajectory of the show. I think it could have stood to be 12 or 13 episodes. Then I wouldn't come down so hard on why are we wasting so much time in 2003.
I don't think anybody wants less episodes or
it's
only more and more.
I think I get scared after after we've seen all the Disney shows where they're like 6 episodes. Everything is 6 episodes. I'm like, just do longer seasons, please.
all right, we're moving on. Episode 2. So, episode 2 is Infected. It's when they start their journey across Ellie at the end of episode 1. She gets scanned. They find out that she's infected. However, she's immune. So this is Tess and Joel. They're moving across country. We also see that flashback in the beginning with the doctor in Indonesia where the infection supposedly started out in the wheat factory, right?
We didn't even talk about the cold open. That was such a mistake.
That's true. You're right.
That is
Kai.
is that Kai Garner?
That is.
I love you, Kai Garner.
Shout out, Kai.
Shout out, Kai.
I wrote a top 3 editions list, and I told you I'd bring chaos and organization to this. The second, the top of the 3, my top 2 is the episode 1 and 2 cold opens because they are genius.
I would agree
They're
with that.
brilliant. They are like, ooh, I get chills every time I haven't watched both episodes again, but I have gone back and watched both cold opens again.
Can y'all
Just so
explain the cold open
Yes.
just to give context?
Episode 1 cold open is the brother from
the mummy.
The brother from the mummy.
That's what he's
That's
from.
right.
And he's basically talking about how climate change is going to force cordyceps fungi to have to mutate and change their ability to live on this planet, which basically means like if you don't stop polluting, it's gonna jump.
right.
It's a zootanic virus because
they can't
those don't
survive
exist,
in the
right?
heat. They can't survive in the heat, but the world's hotter, etc.
And then episode 2 is in is it Jakarta? Jakarta.
Jakarta, Indonesia.
They make mention of Jakarta, Indonesia in the first episode as like where the outbreak kind of starts. So we see 2 days or 3 days before the outbreak, something like that. They bring in the Jakarta military brings in a top scientist from
mycologist,
a top mycologist,
Yes.
and to their lab, and they have a dead body who is a worker from the Jakarta flour mill, I think it's like the second largest or first largest.
It's the largest.
It's the largest in the world. And she's been bitten on the leg. She's dead. And the mycologist opens up her mouth and pulls out living cordyceps mycelium. And the military man brings the mycologist into a room and he's like, "So what do we do?" And she goes, "Bomb." And she just says,
"Bomb
and
this
it's
whole city."
And literally, it's like it is. She has a cup of tea. She's like clanking the cup and puts it down and just says, "Go. I'm gonna leave and go home and be with my loved ones." And it is bone chilling.
Yeah,
it is beautiful.
She has this understanding of the horror of what it is, and it's just like,
And
I'm not even
no
going to try
cure.
to save myself.
There's
She's just
no
like,
cure.
Kill us, kill everybody. I'm going home with the family.
Right.
Peace.
So after that, though, we see this is really the start of the first leg of the journey with Joel, Ellie, and Tess. And as they do the museum bit with the clickers. Now, a lot of people took issue with the fact that it wasn't crawling with infected like it was in the game. However, I can't imagine the expectation, though, is just they had to slim it down because even in every video game movie property, they take the amount of henchmen down because you can't just go around slaughtering people the entire time. You know what I mean?
And
you seen John Wick?
and the other thing about it is just you when you're in control of a game and you're in control of a character, you have the ability to go and scavenge and pick up all this ammo
Assess
and craft
the situation.
craft shivs. This is you can't in a real life expectation. First of all, if any of us were ever in this cordyceps infection world, we'd all be so fucked.
I'm dead.
Yeah,
medically,
who's
I
just-
won't last.
I'm
Who's just
done.
flat out like taking the easy way out real quick? Like,
I don't think I would do that. I think I would just be done.
I've been thinking about what I would do in a zombie apocalypse for a long time.
Dude,
I am not taking the easy way out.
You have told us this so many times. Before I go to bed some nights, I think about your plans
Yeah.
for a zombie
Can I
apocalypse.
please?
I'm not
It
saying
doesn't
that
have to be
it's
now. Can I get a
We'll-
rundown of
we'll
it?
do a
like
rundown. Maybe at the end of the episode.
TLDR. No, but it's one of those things. Why you can people are real pissed about the amount of infected in this show, and my answer is, if you wanted more infected, you can just play the game. That's my first answer.
Fair
and my
enough.
second answer is that the game truly was never about the infected. It was about
Okay,
No,
all right.
yeah.
I need to jump in
I
here
knew
because
I said Nick and I are going to debate tonight, and it's okay.
I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, I don't think it needs to have as many infected. But there's always this sense of impending doom. You could die around any corner, and I think that is lacking in a lot of the middle episodes. Like, they're just traipsing around the country, and there's never a dead, there's never a zombie.
But I think when you're making this into, you can have a video and
It's a
you
different
can,
medium.
Well, it's a
Right.
different
Yeah.
medium. When you're working if this was a movie or if this was TV and it's just The Walking Dead and you're just killing zombie after zombie, it loses wait. I know what you're saying with like that kind of feeling.
You are
of,
literally reading my mind right now.
I know what you're saying with the feeling of like they're just kind of happily going through buildings and not worried.
What if they were just in transition shots? There was, you saw zombies in the background, or just something to remind you that they're there.
There is one thing I do want to point out. I don't want to walk on anybody right now. However, The Walking Dead learned this lesson the hard way. Whenever there was a boring moment in the show, they were just like, unleash the zombies.
Yeah.
Even to when there was no fucking logical way that the zombies would have snuck up on the cat. Like, just not even remotely possible. So I'm glad that they avoided that pitfall. However, this particular episode, although it only features 2 clickers, which are pretty much the most dangerous type of infected besides for bloaters, this episode also had introduced us to pretty much the neural network
Which
of
is so
the
fucking
infected,
cool.
where they shoot that one guy or whatever, and his hand falls
Touches it, yeah.
on the fungi that's like the moss, and it tells all the ones that are like a mile away that there's living people here, and they all the runners just take off. Like, that
Runners,
was really
stalkers.
cool, and I really like the way they framed the infected when after Tess gets bit, when the one guy comes over and is looking at her because she's already infected. Like, the fungi is controlling her. Remember, they're not dead. They are fully aware what's going on. They just can't control themselves. So when he does the kiss thing, which was really uncomfortable, I like how there's this soft focus in the background that shows the absolute carnage that's playing out, yet it's not the focus. And when that comes through on the visual storytelling side of this, I feel like the intent is there. It's not about the infected. The infected are just a part of the story. You know what I mean?
Because I don't disagree with you. I think there could be more infected, and it's
Just wait 2 episodes.
right. Well, and that's the thing, right? Is that I think as a whole through the series, you could probably have more infected, but what they do really well with this season is that when they're there, holy shit. Like, when we get to 5, when we talk about it, spoiler alert, it's pretty high on my list. There's a reason it's so high, and it's because everything in that episode to me is so effective because of the setup. And then after that, me personally, I don't know if after 2, after 5, and through 3 and 4 also, just with the impending doom that 1 gave and what they do, I actually don't know if I necessarily need it because there's so many more threatening things. But my big thing about episode 2 is that we get Anna Torv, and we don't get Anna Torv after that except for episode 3, and that is the biggest. I think that might be one of my bigger losses of the season, is that they've created these amazing characters, cast some of the best actors I've ever watched on television to play them, but we only get them for these small chunks, and it's just so sad. It's so sad.
Which is a perfect way to transition into episode 3 because
dude, we're going through these fast.
we have to.
Hey,
we
man.
have to.
I'm just going to drop this real quick. I don't like the neural network because it never ever is relevant ever again in the series.
That is
And
a
that's
fair,
a big-
that's a fair criticism I've heard too.
Fair critique.
Joel needs a car.
So, this episode is called Long, Long Time. And this is what I think is the great. I will say it right now. This is the greatest hour and 15 minutes of television I've seen in my life. I have never had a piece of media pull such deep emotions out of me, like to the point where I'm begging.
They were milking emotions out of you.
Oh my gosh! I was being milked from one end of this episode to the other. It was just one of those things where like, this is a prime example of how adapting a certain section of gameplay or a character for a different medium and changing the narrative is absolutely paramount to telling an incredible story on television. You know
And
what
why
I mean?
backstory is important.
Why backstory. And here's the thing. This was not just some filler bullshit that they put in because they tie it all in so amazingly. So first off, let's just we'll start off with the two actors. It's Nick Offerman and Frank. No, Frank's his character name. It's
This is why I pulled it up, everybody. It is Nick Offerman, and he's not on the IMDb list right
and
off the bat.
unlisted.
Murray Bartlett.
Murray
It's Murray
Bartlett.
Bartlett. It's Murray
There we
Bartlett.
go.
And basically what happens is you're introduced to Frank at the beginning of, not Frank, Bill at the beginning of the apocalypse. He's a doomsday prepper, right? Survivalist. That's what he also calls himself. And basically while everyone's evacuated, he's thrown up fences. He's siphoned all the gas out of cars and out of the gas stations. He's gone and taken all the groceries. He's
having a wonderful montage of a time.
You get the vindication for his craziness.
Yeah.
And like you get to see him thrive, you get to see how he goes and just
Everything.
raids a liquor store, raids that. It's like you're like, okay, cool. I'm glad this guy wins.
He eats a delicious steak.
I like the little Parks and Rec reference where he goes to the fucking Home Depot. Like that's I don't know if it's a reference, but I was like, this is a little too convenient for you to be walking into that Home Depot right now.
So,
Nick Offerman.
Nick.
So then a stranger shows up. It's a man named Frank. He falls into one of Bill. He falls for Bill, literally.
Yes.
He falls into Bill's hole, falls into Bill's hole, and
then falls into his heart.
Yeah, which is like
And then probably his hole again. I don't know.
for several years.
That's a lot of holes to fill. So the
Seven holes.
My students really can't ever find this, can they? This is so
I'm
bad.
just saying, like
It's okay.
like
Pat,
It's
which
all right.
of his 7 holes do you think they explored?
his eyes,
His eye
his
holes.
eye holes.
His hard
Underneath
holes.
his fingernails.
So-
just like the infected.
So,
Oh, no.
But yeah, what happens is they go there. He pulls him out of his hole, and they have
Enough.
dinner. They share a meal, and I think Bill sees something in Frank, and they share a beautiful moment at the piano, beautiful song, and then they fall in love.
There is no girl.
There is
never
no
was.
girl. And they fall in love. Frank tells him that he's not a slut. He doesn't kiss and run. He's going to stay for a few days, and turns out he stays for 20 years. What proceeds after that is one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever seen in my life.
I will preface this with I didn't watch it on the Sunday it dropped, which I think will forever be one of my biggest regrets because not
you
because
saw
anyone
the reaction in the morning.
well,
though,
and
right?
that's the thing is that I saw the reaction in the morning, and what always happens when you find out a really phenomenal reaction is that it will never have the same impact that it needed to.
Yeah.
which sucks, but that's why it's not number one on my ranking. But in terms of I'll tell you why the other one that is number one is where it is when we get to it. It is a joy to see, because this is what I honestly think that this episode is the most important episode of the entire series, if I'm honest with you, because it establishes something very important about the entire story. And it is, again, not that this story is not about the infected. This story is not about anything else. Yep. This is not about the zombie apocalypse. This is about love and how love perseveres and why love is so important, not just in this world, but in the world that we live in, because it makes you do things that you have no explanation for. You have no reasoning behind. You do not know why you.
So
is this what you?
So someone talked about how episode 3 was completely unnecessary, and I was on my alt account and I said episode 3 was absolutely necessary. The note that Bill leaves Joel informs Joel's character for literally the rest of the season as a promise to Tess to protect Ellie, that it's not, and it's the point of the episode, to show what it's like to love in a world devoid of love.
And he
right?
says something in the
and
and he
guy goes disgusting.
And what did you say? Stop projecting, mate. It ain't worth it. You're right.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, right? Is that
That's a Lynn Ward move right there. Disgusting.
what he says in his note is, and it is poignant. I can't forget it. Is he goes, "That's what we do, Joel. We protect people.
Yeah.
That's what we're That's what we're here to do." And I was like,
so
you and I had we had a really great conversation the day after the episode dropped that we were talking about how Bill is an inflection of Joel, how Joel is a person who started out with love in his heart. Gotta have love in your heart.
Gotta have love in your heart.
He is a man who knew what love was, and it was taken away from him. And then he just became the shell of a man.
as opposed to
Bill,
Bill
is a
who
shell
had
of
no
a man
love,
who has what does
did
he
not
have in
know
heart?
love. He had
He has
hate in his heart.
heart.
He didn't know love, and then it took the apocalypse to put love into his life. And
Yes.
they're you're seeing his
mirrors of each
story
other,
go
yes.
the other direction.
And so furthering their story together, and like here's the thing, it caught me off guard because I was expecting, okay, they're gonna fill us in on Frank a little bit before the split happens, and then before they run through the town to get the car
Right.
battery and
I
everything.
was looking forward to
But
that.
then when it does the jump cut and it's like all these years later, and I'm like, whoa, they're really fucking old now. And like it's after
there's a moment you realize you're like, oh,
it's not coming.
Yeah,
And, and Bill gets shot in the previous scene, which is once again another critique. People are like, how does Bill not have a place to shoot people from other than the middle of his street?
That is a
Because
fair-
Which is a fair- it's a fair point.
Because the whole point with Bill is he's like, I wasn't scared until you came. He is someone who
Oh,
will
that's
go
right.
into the street
Yes,
Now he's
yes.
afraid.
and
Yes.
shoot. But now he's afraid, and like it basically is until when he gets shot and, like Frank takes him
Yo,
in,
when
and
he-
he's like, "Leave me. There's food. Take guns. You can
if
do
he
this."
shoots
And
from
he's
the
like,
house, then they're gonna come to the house,
Yeah.
and that's not what he
I
doesn't
do
want Frank to
love-
be the point. He doesn't want him to be in the line of fire at all.
I do love the line where he's like, the fences will finish them off.
it's like the fence will take care of them, and their wounds will finish that after.
Yeah, and then so then we do the jump cut. You see the the wide shot of somebody in a wheelchair.
Oh, what a good
And-
fake out!
And
oh.
you assume it's Bill, but
Yeah.
it's actually Frank, and it turns out he's suffering from ALS. And man, that scene where they're on the couch afterwards just fucking tore me up. Seeing Nick Offerman like that, basically saying like, "Hey, I want you to kill me because like there's nothing else for me. Like there's nothing else for me to live for, pretty much."
I had a perfect life.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it was a long time. So.
And one of the best quotes of that whole episode, and it's again, this is why this episode was. It wasn't filler, you fools. The episode was so important. It boils down to one line, which is, "Why can't you just love me the way I want you to love me?"
Yes.
And that's Ellie. That's Ellie.
Yep.
Why can't you just love me the way that I want you to love me? Why? And that's her with Riley. That is her at the
Everybody.
end. Why can't you love me? Just love me the way that I want you to love me, because Joel loves her. By the time, you know what? I'll save it.
Yeah,
hold on.
So,
We'll save
so moving forward from that, Frank assists in the suicide. He prepares him. Well, first it was,
The same
I want you
meal.
to take me out on the town and dress me up and everything. So they have the same meal that they shared when they first met. And
Also, I love how he's moved over the years, down the table.
my God.
yes,
And the first scene, they're at opposite ends, and
Opposite ends.
now he's shifted his
Yep.
spot
Next to
to right
him.
next to Frank.
Fuck,
And
every
so
detail.
Yep.
So good.
they break up the painkillers. He puts it all in his glass of wine, but then I don't know why he would ask if there was painkillers in the bottle. I forget what the trigger was for that, but he says like enough to kill a horse.
Because he watches him drink his whole thing, and then you see Bill chug his whole wine,
that's
and he
right,
was like,
that's right.
And
he was
there's
like,
bits at
oh
the
my,
bottom.
he was like, oh my God, like what did you just do?
Yeah. So then they share their last meal. Frank says, "Take me to bed." And they go to bed for the final time together, and I cried my fucking eyes out. And then I was like, to the point where I was like, can we bring back Joel and Ellie, please? Because this sucks right now. And finally, they come back, and I love in the note, like Bill starts with, "I left the bedroom window open so it probably doesn't stink."
Yeah.
like
He's
he
like, I'll
knew.
try to mitigate the sting.
Yeah, and I
I'll
love
try
the
to do what I
callback.
can.
I love the callback to the first episode that starts with the 80s music.
Yep.
Because 80s means there's an issue, which is supposed to play 2 weeks of idle radio station or whatever. And that's when they fill you in on that that little callback right there. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this is the greatest episode of this series, and it's.
Did any
like
of
I
you
said,
guys
best
watch
television
Westworld?
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first two seasons, I believe.
So yeah, I dropped off somewhere in there, but the best episode of Westworld was the one where they did a story that wasn't about the main thrust. It was a little vignette. It's set in the world of Westworld, and both of these examples are great because it's like you don't need to necessarily be story driven the whole time. Just give us a glimpse into what it's like to exist in this place.
I think
No, go ahead.
the one like kind of final thing with this episode for me, my last note on it is Joel taking Frank's shirt.
Yes.
That's we see Bill give that shirt, and
Right.
it's like that. I feel is just like the everything about Bill's note and giving the shirt to Joel is such a change in like that. I feel is such a pivotal moment of him then being like, look, like we are the protectors. You have to open up. Like you need to be emotional.
It's
Like,
the
look
suit
at
up
that.
scene. It's the suit up scene.
Oh,
you
it's
know?
so good.
Yeah.
And it's a payoff for anybody who's watching and waiting because it not just his shirt. Ellie gets her palm tree shirt, which is like the shirt that she wears, and everybody knows from like every promo that they do. That's her shirt. Like that's her thing.
And then it ends on the window, which is the menu screen.
Right, but it also they play the song that's playing on the radio that they have in the car is the same song that they played on the piano
Long Time.
together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that said,
The government are all Nazis.
so
Oh, what a brilliant!
Such a good drop.
And
yeah, no, but not then.
and also the best thing that I found out from I forget if it was listening to the podcast or if it was just like the after the episode thing. Nick Offerman read the stage direction, which is not today. You what is it? Not today. You
Jackboot.
you jackboot anarchist or some shit like that. And he went, no, he would say this, and he just said it out loud, and that shit is brilliant.
Yes.
Like it's so good.
All right, so then next we had episode Endure and Survive. This is the introduction of Henry and Sam. Excuse me. They have a. Oh no, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say this is not.
Please hold my hand is the next one. So
Please hold my hand.
Please hold to my hand.
while they're traveling through Missouri, Joel and Ellie are forced to take a detour through Kansas City, where they're ambushed, which is just like the game, except they don't really do the whole. He doesn't really go too much into detail about. Oh, he ain't even really hurt.
Also, it was in Pittsburgh.
That's right. Joel kills the
not
two.
Kansas City.
Joel kills the two bandits, and then the third one overpowers him and nearly chokes him before Ellie saves him by shooting him with Frank's pistol.
And has one of the most heartbreaking moments of the season where he it's chilling. He goes, I can't move my legs, or I can't feel my legs because she shoots him. She shoots him in the spine.
Yeah.
And he's
Good,
like,
fuck him.
He's like, fuck.
He's
can't.
calling for his mom and shit too. I was like, good, you son of a bitch. And then Joel's like, I'm not even gonna waste the bullets on you, and chokes him out, and it's awesome.
Yeah. He's like, Ellie, go wait.
And he goes, go back.
Go wait in the car, sweetie.
Yeah.
More bandits find the bodies. Their leader, Kathleen, believes Joel and Ellie might be in contact with Henry and orders a manhunt. Joel counsels Ellie about the firefight, gives her the pistol back. Remember, because there's that pivotal moment of... Because they kind of melded those two scenes from the game together. Specifically, like, it was either me or him, you know? And then they think they find Henry's hideout, and basically they go on this... it's like a gameplay section, you know?
Yeah.
They're moving through the city.
Yeah.
They are trying to get away from Kathleen. Now, I don't understand what the issue with Henry and Sam was that, and this isn't something that comes to later, but the issue
Yeah, we
that
find out in the next episode.
Yeah, that
Can we just talk about these two episodes together?
Yeah,
as
Yeah,
well?
let's
I feel
do
like,
that.
Yeah.
I'm fine
okay,
with that.
because like the whole thing
They are
is
the
that,
same episode.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Because the whole thing is that Sam and Henry gave up Kathleen's brother to Fedra, right?
Henry did.
did.
So, and because we're talking about both of them, Henry discloses later the reason that he gives up Kathleen's brother is because he needs medicine for, I believe,
Leukemia.
yeah, Sam has leukemia. And
I missed that.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's big. He's sitting.
That's the whole
they're
trade.
so that's when they're sitting at the like they're shooting the soccer ball and stuff. They're talking about it, and he's like, you know, he's talking about like why that's when Sam said, or Henry says, you're not her father, but you were someone's. It's that whole scene. And he gives up Kathleen's brother, and he essentially says like, I know I'm the bad guy. I know I'm the bad guy, but I became the bad guy because if I didn't become the bad guy, he was going to die. Which makes it even more heartbreaking later.
Again,
but
we're getting a reflection of Joel's story.
Right. And Kathleen, I need to Melanie. Is it Melanie Linsky? Is that who plays Kathleen?
Sounds right.
Yes, yes, it is.
She might be my favorite original character that they added to this. Perry's a second, but
quick question. I have a feeling one of you is going to know this. In the games, you can find notes that kind of give you backstory into the world. Was any of this Kathleen's story
I don't
something
think so.
pulled from the game
it's brand
lore?
new.
It's all new for they talked about that, I believe, in the podcast.
Yeah, I
They
didn't
need a
listen to it.
face for this enemy faction that they're going up against.
And
It
what-
can't just be NPCs that you're killing in the world. That's what I'm
I
saying.
agree with that, but also I feel like it was weird because the story arc felt half baked. And again, it's just a matter of how much time we have to play with in this series.
And I think what they do, or what they constantly talk about them doing, is they have to give. They sort of do it with Fedra in the beginning of the season, then they do it with the Fireflies at the end, and they do it again here. Is like, there's not really a villain. There's not really like a hardcore like antagonist, because every episode has someone that's in the wrong in some way.
a piece of shit.
But
Yeah.
like, there's nobody who's right. Like, Joel killing
Yeah.
people isn't right, but he's doing it because it's an endure and survive world.
That's
the whole point.
Everybody.
But what I like about Kathleen is that Kathleen is just like, she's a woman who, like, she is not like imposing or like, she's not like this huge muscular person. She's got Perry to be that. She doesn't need to be that. But what she is so wonderfully reflected as is this antithesis of what you expect, which is everybody's got to either look like Joel or they're not surviving. And she is the opposite. She is, no. Not only do I not look like Joel, I've got the Joels working for me. And she's not evil. She's broken. Every person in the world is broken.
Yeah.
And she is the reflection of, if you're broken and people give you enough power, you're going to do bad things.
yeah.
Yeah, she also is a fantastic, like, she plays the foil of if Joel continued in that direction, like having lost somebody so directly purposeful to her, that is the evil version of what Joel would be. And then you have Sam and Henry, which is like you said, it's a perfect explanation. Like, everything is gray. There isn't, and it's just kind of like, you're doing what you think you need to be doing.
And she has this chilling line where she just says, kids die every day, Henry.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you piece of shit. And then you're like, but you're right. like
Yeah,
what,
you're not wrong.
Is a life worth a life? And then that's yet another thing that comes up over and over again. Go ahead, I'm talking.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's better than some guests we've had. We had to pull shit out of some guests, so this is great.
I don't know if you remember.
Milk
There's
it out
a
of
whole shit right here.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, thank
Endure
you.
and Survive is my number one episode. I'll talk about it later if you want.
Fun fact.
I can't wait
so
to talk
Perry,
about that with you.
So Perry is actually portrayed by Jeffrey Price, who plays Tommy in the games. And I thought, like, it's like, initially it sounds like, let's throw the cast of bone, the old cast of bone. But it seems like every edition or every part that they've cast the original cast members
purpose.
in, there's purpose behind it. That's right.
Perry is Tommy with Joel. He
Yes.
is we're doing
Yes.
really shitty things and I don't feel good about it, but I'm indebted to you. Whereas Tommy goes, I don't want to do this anymore. Perry says, we shouldn't do this anymore, but I'm behind you.
Yeah.
And that's all I can do.
And again, it's the evil Joel is what her character is.
Dark Joel.
Dark Joel.
So
Shadow Realm. Joel.
we have the sniper battle that happens, which is right out of the game, and I love the fact that they add this moment where it's like this old guy with a
it's
rifle,
Brutal.
and Joel's like, "Please don't, please don't make me kill you right now." And unfortunately, Joel has to kill him, and then it turns into the section of the game where you have to be the infect. Well, what I liked was they combined both things. They combined the bandits coming for us, Henry and Sam, and then they combine the infected part. But what I really love is that instead of them being like, okay, here's 2 waves of enemies and now we're going to sneak out the back, I love how it's like it's almost like the bandits are getting like they're just desserts, so much to speak, because like they are like they thought the infected were done. They had driven them all underground. And it is, a lot of people are saying it is kind of coincidental how like the one place that
she knew about the infected. Remember, Perry takes her down. Perry takes her down,
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck do we do? And she's
Right,
like,
but
we'll
the
take care
thing
of it
was-
later.
But the thing that
Idiot.
everybody else didn't know. Yes,
but the thing is like specifically how the truck like
Right
he snipes
there in that
yeah
particular
exactly in that particular spot. Now I think the action sequence that happens there, and especially the CGI, because what I like here is that they used all practical sets, practical suits, practical process. Even the bloater is played by some giant stunt guy, but they touched everything up with CGI, so it's a little bit more fluid. It feels like it's in the world more. The lighting is really good too, and I love the scene where the clicker like little girl is climbing through the car trying to kill Ellie. Yeah.
it's like the ring, like.
And then
This is my least favorite sequence in the entire series.
tell us why, Nick.
So it's one of those scenes where I can no longer suspend my disbelief. Whereas if you look at this sequence in the game where the zombies are coming in, there's two over here and one over there and then another one over here, and like, so there's a lot of zombies. There's hundreds surrounding all of the characters, and all of the bad guys get picked off, and Ellie and the brothers are just the two brothers
Plot
are
armor.
just fine, just walking around as if nothing's going on.
Yeah, I mean that's it's a lot of things. Like, yes, they are, but they aren't.
But it's like,
you
this
have
is
Joel,
the opposite of what I was talking
But
about
Sam
before.
gets bit.
Yeah, and Joel
Yes.
is protecting Ellie.
Whereas
He's
everybody
doing
else is getting ripped
his
apart
job.
limb
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
limb.
and I actually think
This
that
real quick, this
Keep
is
going,
the
sorry.
exact opposite of what I was talking about before, where I was like, I could have used more zombies everywhere. So it's like either all or none, when it's like, this didn't need to be some huge Walking Dead moment where it's a big, huge fucking scene. It could have been a handful of zombies, and it's still been an imposing
but
threat.
the like militia would have taken care of them. It had to be something to
Yeah.
overcome, and it had to show.
I-
Everything in this show, real quick, is all about hurt and loss.
Yeah.
Is what it is, and it's like that was the moment for Kathleen. Was her name right?
Kathleen.
Yes.
Yeah, for Kathleen to win. She had the gun
she was
pointed
ready.
at him. She won, and then she loses, and it's all about taking something from someone.
Yeah.
It's this whole.
And those clickers flossed with her face at one point.
Oh yeah.
and the other
Hey!
the
What I say to you when we walk down the steps?
the other thing about it is if I can try and poke a hole in your
Sure.
your argument is not. I
don't need
absolutely
permission
get
to
it.
that. That's what
okay,
we do
great.
here.
Let me tell you why you're fucking wrong, Nick.
Okay, all right, man. Pull back.
Hey.
No,
What I tell you when we walk down the steps?
but I get it. It is a total. It could be a break of a suspension of disbelief. But what I like about it is it. By all accounts, you're like, oh fuck, these guys should have gotten torn to pieces, but they don't. They survived, and then only two of them walk away at the end of the episode anyway. And that is
oh my
so.
God.
This is why this is my #1 episode. I'm glad we're here. I'm glad you're all ready for this. So Endure and Survive is I watched it at time of no expectation. Obviously, like Twitter's going crazy about Henry and Sam, and I knew that this shit was coming. For you've known since 2013 because
And we've had this conversation about how I felt that because of the change with Frank and Bill, it took me by surprise. Whereas since I knew this was happening, it didn't have the same
And
effect on me. But
for
I know
me,
why, though.
The reason why this is so effective is because it didn't make my top 3 editions, but it is right below there. It actually should probably be tied for 3rd. When you make a character extremely like Bella is different as Ellie than Ashley Johnson is, and Pedro is different as Joel than Troy Baker is. Kevon, I'm gonna say it wrong, and I feel like such an asshole for doing it. Kevon Woodward.
Yeah, Kevon.
Woodard. First of all, Kevon is deaf himself.
That was a great choice.
The decision to make Sam deaf immediately heightens everything about this episode because from moment 1 to the end of the episode, you are sitting there going, please do not let this kid die. Immediately,
if he could hear, I'd want that kid dead.
But like, of course you don't want him to die, and it would be like, oh, they're not really gonna kill a kid, are they? And you kind of know how this world goes.
Are they gonna kill a disabled
But
kid?
But it really is like where you're like, I can't fucking believe that they're about to. What did you just play? Play it
I
again.
said we'd be sitting there like,
Listen to me, you little shit.
But like for me, and I have a very personal connection to it because Pat knows this. My sister's autistic, and so stories like this hit me hard. But this hit me harder than it ever has before because at every moment, everything goes the way it needs to for this kid to survive. You find out he has leukemia. He is deaf. His brother gives the world to take care of him, gives up what he calls the best person he's ever known in his life because it meant his brother would still be here. And at the end of the day, he still can't save him. And that is it's one of those moments that like when Ellie and Sam are sitting in the bedroom and he goes and he writes down on the are you afraid are you afraid? And then he asks like, do you think that that they can still feel and he shows her
still somebody in there,
that there's still somebody in there, and he shows her the bite mark, and she goes, my blood is medicine. Like that whole sequence is just like
trying to keep hope alive. Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking because if you don't know what's going to happen, this might be like, oh shit, she's about to find out that she can do this. And like, again, that would be like, oh my God, this is like a superhero movie now.
Yeah,
where
too
like,
strong, overpowered.
And all of a sudden, then she wakes up the night. He says, "Will you stay up with me?" She says, "Yes, of course." And she falls asleep, and she wakes up, and he almost fucking tears her apart. And then Henry kills him, and stands there. And come on, give me who plays Henry. Lamar Johnson has this beautiful moment of like, and it's the same one that happens in the game where he's like, how could you let this happen? Like, you did this. And Joel's like, Henry, no one, what? And he thinks he's talking to him, and he turns the gun on himself. From A to B, A to Z, whatever the fuck it is, I never looked away, and I was sobbing because I was like, he failed his brother and couldn't think of any other. Joel fails his daughter, and it's a good change from the game that we find out in episode 9, but you're like, Joel fails his daughter and he still has the will to go on. And then it makes that even more heartbreaking.
Well, yeah, he was sitting there like,
it was either him or me.
you know,
you're such a bitch. But that's for me, that's why it's top for me, because I care about Bill and Frank so much and I love their story, but I care about Sam. I can't not. Like,
well, let me throw this at you.
Poke a hole in my sail.
While I agree, their story is one of the more compelling parts of the whole narrative. It would have been nice to get more of their interactions together and their interactions with Joel and Ellie, where it felt like we spent so much time on the Kathleen character. It would have just been nice to spend time down when they're running around in the sewers and they're separated. That would have been a better use of our time, I think.
Going back to what, I don't disagree with that.
I disagree, but go ahead.
Okay.
I also disagree, but go ahead.
Going on what you said about how they portrayed Sam after he gets infected, right? They purposefully had him face the other direction. You've been listening to the podcast too, right? Okay, I've been listening to it too. They told him to face the other direction specifically because Sam knew he was turning and he didn't want to
hurt Ellie.
Yeah, turn and like immediately see Ellie and go after her, because if he's facing away from her, he can't hear her. So like again, I like those subtle little touches that even in the face of death and like he knew this was coming, he still cared about his new friend enough to be like, all right, well, I'm gonna at least try not to rip her to shreds. You know what I mean? So I mean,
which makes his death so much worse. Like this, everything about this is so painful.
Man, if only he could hear, then I wouldn't have to care.
Yeah, I do love the beams after this episode where it's like the one of Ellie smiling and it's just, I am in absolute pain, because they go into that city as the two of them, like you said, and then they meet all these characters, have all these fucking crazy
and
high
there's potential
adventures
for them to come out as more than 2.
Yeah.
yeah, and then
That is heartbreaking.
As soon as
yeah.
they're on the other side, it's just the two of them digging shallow graves. You know, deeper than deeper than what they gave Dobby.
Deeper than Dobby.
Deeper than what
Wait,
they gave
that's
Dobby.
definitely our late 90s, early 2000s band, Deeper Than Dobby.
Deeper than Dobby. Yes, yes.
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
So
That's next.
yes. So next is I tried to put them in order. I tried to pull out some good
The
quotes.
episodes?
Yeah. I tried to put those in order. I actually watched them.
Good for you.
in different
Pat,
orders.
you're such a good podcast host.
So,
man.
thank you. You know, I've been in a room with two guys for almost 3 years now, and they've never said that before.
You've never said it to
back
us.
if they want.
You guys are good co-hosts.
Well, there you
Calm,
go.
calm
Do you want me
down.
to take it back? I can take it back if you guys want.
You made him cough. Yeah,
You're on thin
You're in
ice.
danger to his health.
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
Hey!
All
What
right,
did I say to you going down those stairs?
I'll get the Trump drops now. So this next episode was Kin. So this takes place 3 months after Henry and Sam's untimely demise, and this is basically when Joel and Ellie reach Jackson, Wyoming. Right.
Oh, boy.
Once again, I've heard some criticisms about this specific part with the dog.
And they're wrong.
Because
Sorry.
their whole thing. I mean, listen, I disagree with that assertion that well, what was going to happen if they find out she was infected? Like, they can't kill her because then the show is over. But
Of course not.
But it's also like it's something else. If they were the best writers, write themselves into corners. You know what I mean? And then figure out a way to get out. That's smart. I mean, like Breaking Bad is notorious for that. Right?
Was there a dog in the game?
No. You just I forget.
You just
how-
waltz up and
Yeah.
they're just
Well,
like,
yeah,
hey, Joel.
Because you don't go to Jackson in the game. You go to the dam. You go to the dam, and so they walk right up to it. They're like, we'll cut through, and it's Maria. Maria's there with the fucking shotgun, and she's like, state your business. And that's when Tommy goes, he's
Stand your
okay.
ground.
He's okay. And Maria goes, you know him? And he goes, you bet I do. He's my fucking brother.
Yeah.
And then that's hoorah.
Yeah. Semper Fi, brother. It's good to see you.
Back the blue.
No. Okay, so but yeah, in this one they go straight to Jackson, which I like the depiction of Jackson. It's very
I love
close
it.
to the game.
Yeah.
And I like that they set it up in this season for when season 2 comes in, because it is quite jarring. Well, there's more time in between the first game and the second game. I think it's about 5 or 6 years between the events. Is it 4 between the first and the second
She's
game?
14
I'm,
or 18.
I'm replaying it right now.
Oh, okay. I stopped when I got to Abby. When I did
Shut
my replay.
up. Leave her
What?
alone.
I didn't say I didn't like her. I'm just saying I just stopped.
come on.
I literally gave you
kidding.
nothing.
Save it for
Wait.
our
Wait, are you saying you
season
didn't-
2
You
recap.
finished the game?
Yeah. But on my replay, I stopped when I got to Abby.
I was like, this whole time you never finished it?
All these years.
Always.
No,
There are
the day
some
that
of
it
those
came-
people.
The day that it came out, you got it and I got it. And I mean, like, we were texting each other every hour on the hour, being like, where the fuck are you at? Oh, I'm at this part. And I mean, the whole weekend, it was you played yours Friday to Sunday,
I've
and I
never
played mine
cried
Friday
so
to Sunday.
much playing a game. I cried almost daily while I was playing. I was like, I can't believe I'm still doing this to myself. It's time to hit Nora with a pipe.
I cry every day just because life. Anyway, so this is the scene, or this is the setup for Joel trying to get rid of Ellie. And they play it a little bit differently in the game as opposed to the show. Particularly with Joel's mental breakdown at one
It's
point.
I have
Yeah.
I have a top 5 for Pedro Pascal as Joel and a top 5 for Bella Ramsey as Ellie. And I came
You should
prepared.
have told us these
Sorry,
things
guys.
beforehand.
His number one moment is in this.
Yeah.
This.
He's
It's
leaning up against the
solidified.
fence.
No, not that one. It's-
That meme is fantastic.
The memes,
It's so good.
Yes, the memes
no,
are great.
for me, it's when he says I'm failing in my sleep.
Yes.
And I was like,
oh my god. Yeah,
Yeah.
You just see him break for
'Cause
the
I
first
feel that
time.
way too. You know, I'm
Yep.
just- every day. It's a
well, you fail
struggle.
all the time.
Yeah,
So.
you know, I'm gonna wake up and I'm a
You're
ball
not taking care of a
failure.
kid yet either.
Yeah, it's true.
Wake up.
Well, he already
fail,
lost one, so
pass
he's not
out,
either.
Fail.
Yeah, he's
Damn, bro.
Shit, Pat.
So
What do you have to say? Talk to Pedro directly.
So,
Pedro, we're really sorry about how this
the-
man is treating
We
you.
love
don't
you.
deserve
The-
this slander.
as soon as it was over, I said to you, give him the Emmy, right?
give
All
him
the
everything.
awards right
He's gonna
now.
win for that if he,
He
wins for
has to.
anything.
He has to. He was. I mean, Frank and
I said he.
Bill. Frank and
Pedro.
Bill might. Okay, yeah. But either way, Pedro
Shut the fuck up, Pat.
has a. It's my show. He has a. What's it called? He has an amazing scene about how he feels inadequate and that he doesn't feel that he can do Ellie justice. Like at this point, like they've been wandering the countryside for 3 months. He's having these panic attacks. He's not sure if he can really see this through. And the way he kind of frames it is that Tommy knows the area better. So he's going to give it to Tommy. He's a former Firefly. They'll be like, hey, Tommy, what's up? How you doing? Yeah, I got this immune girl
Even
with
though
me.
I don't think that's probably true. I think they
Oh,
might be
no.
like, hey, Tommy, why the fuck did you leave? And then they'll kill him.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas in the video...
Dude, imagine that actually panned out and Tommy and Ellie both die at Joel's hand.
Stop it.
Imagine.
We heard enough.
Enough!
We're writing an
We haven't
alternate
even-
ending
we haven't
right now.
gotten to episode 9. Well, the Closer Look already did that on YouTube, and it's not good. I don't like the Closer Look.
Idea what loss
Do you hear that? The Closer Look. I don't like you.
So,
You
I
just
don't speak for-
got us canceled. Thanks a
I
lot.
don't speak for Press Any Key.
Okay.
So,
I only speak for me.
I speak for Press Andy Key.
Do you
So-
like Closer Look?
I have no idea what that is. Anyway,
Don't watch.
Are you
maybe
talking about
do.
Seth Meyers?
No, it's a YouTube channel.
Okay.
I don't like you.
okay, so Joel. So, oh my God, we're
At
dude, this-
ZLove if you have complaints.
Yeah. So, this whole episode, like I said, is the breakdown, and it is that pivotal scene from the game where Joel and Ellie have it out because Maria tells
Oh, whoa,
Ellie, right?
You have skipped something very important, Patrick.
what?
Tommy is going to be a father.
Oh, that's
which is
right.
a huge change and probably one of the most overlooked changes in the whole series.
good point.
Because it changes everything.
Oh, it changes. Yeah, I guess.
It changes Tommy's motivation, but it also is for Joel. I mean, like, this man saw his
Yes.
niece, Joel's daughter, die. Shot
He
to
also
death.
doesn't do anything in that moment because he knows that she's gonna die. She has like 556 all through her fucking abdomen.
Yeah, there's
It's
nothing he
it's-
could do.
Yeah,
And it's not about like, hey, Tommy, you didn't save her. But I mean, like, for Joel, that could be something he holds. But like, for Joel, like, he's asking, in Joel's mind, I kept you alive for 20 years. I see you, Tommy. I got nothing but nightmares from those years. And now he's like, and I'm gonna be Maria's pregnant. And for Joel, that's just like, I can't fucking believe this.
It's the
Yeah.
worst possible news because everything A, his daughter, B, we just saw like Henry and Sam.
no, it's all good.
Henry and Sam, where he went through every possible length and still failed. And Joel's like, you're bringing a child into this world.
And
Like,
he's-
that's why he's not happy. He's terrified.
And he's like, you're gonna give me a child. Like, that is that if you don't take her off my hands, she's still mine, and I can't do that. I can't handle that, Tommy. And he says something like, give your child the chance at a better world, which is a really, really phenomenal quote that Joel says. Even that doesn't convince him. He would rather bring him up in Jackson surrounded by walls if it means that what they can handle whatever comes in.
That's right. That's right.
Not even to mention the ripples that new story point will have in part 2.
Yeah.
What is that going to change?
And
You're right.
you're not my daughter.
You're not my daughter.
And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
Daddy.
But what you were saying about their confrontation before I rudely cut you off.
No. I was just
There's
saying that,
important
like,
context.
I was just saying that it was different than it's a different motivation in the game, and you guys are right. It does have a big ripple effect on the story coming up, especially with season 2. And I mean, even then, it puts that argument that Joel and Ellie have in a different light, because now it's not Joel being like, man, I got to get this girl off my back. Now it's like there's actual emotion behind it, where he's like, I'm gonna fuck this up. So please stop me from fucking this up. You know what I mean?
I think that was still there in the game. It was just much, much, much more subtext, because the whole time was the whole game is Joel not wanting to have love in his heart. He wants to have hate. And this is the same thing where he's like, he's scared he's going to fuck it up because he knows deep down he does care about her.
Yeah, he can't do that again. He cannot lose
He's just
a daughter.
he's like Bill. I'm afraid now, and I don't like that I'm afraid. I need to get rid of this.
And in the game, he doesn't have the same monologue, but one of Troy Baker's best moments is he goes, "Tommy, I need this," and that has me. That's the same connotation of I'm failing in my sleep.
Yeah,
it's the I can't do it. I can't. It will kill me.
Yeah,
especially if I fail.
Yeah, he's like, I almost did it the first time. I will die this time.
Do we? Nope. We'll talk about it in episode 9.
Okay. So is there anything else in this episode except for the fact that they bring up that they're all communists?
And
they say it's great.
I will say, I
love that.
The thing that I do like also is I like that it never really made sense to me that Ellie would run away in the game, especially considering she doesn't want Joel to leave her. So unless, I guess from that standpoint, it's like I'm gonna
leave you before you can leave me.
I'm gonna show you how much I mean to you because you're gonna come and find me. What I like is that she doesn't do that. She's up in the bedroom and she waits. She knows he's coming to her, so she sits and she waits. Yeah. And that is one of the coolest things that I love about Bella Ramsey's Ellie is that Bella Ramsey's Ellie does not falter until episode 8, and for good reason. But at no point does she ever falter. She knows everything everybody's gonna do before they even know that they're gonna fucking do it, and she plays them like fucking like a chess game. She knows She knows he's got to come up. She knows what she's gonna say. She knows how long it's gonna take her to get through to him. And if she doesn't get through to him, then she played every move she could.
Yeah.
You may have just changed my mind on something. The whole season, and I'm going to preface this with, I know this was all based on my expectations. And that's a terrible thing when you're trying to judge a property, is having these preconceived notions of what it's supposed to be. But I was very critical of Bella Ramsey, not because of her performance. I think more like they wrote her as she has less... she's got less fire in her, and that was something I really felt was missing. I just love that about the video game version, where she's like, she could basically do this on her own, or at least she thinks she can, whereas this Ellie knows that she can't make this journey on her own, and she's very clear about it, and I kind of miss that. But you're right, she is playing 5D chess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think like with
Don't
that.
tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
And I love that.
And I love that.
show
Yeah.
too.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, I think with it too is just like, yes, in the game you have that. This you have to. If she was like a little pissed off kind of kid, like, we wouldn't relate to that as much. So they needed to build.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
That was one of my favorite parts of Ellie.
Well, like, that makes sense because like you're like, yes, badass, and like that's.
But
like,
also she is a 13-year-old, 14-year-old
yeah,
girl.
so she's gonna be a little like, but to that exact point, you know, she's gonna be flippant. She's gonna be back and forth. She's gonna be like this and that. And I think showing her kind of like fluctuations in it is a lot more dramatic, instead of I'm just going to be like running against the wall.
Hyper competent.
Right. Yeah.
But eventually,
I let her have her way.
and we get to
Come on, my man.
How about that other one? What's that other one you got there?
Don't do it.
Dreamed I saw my maternal grandmother.
Oh no, I meant the one above that.
No.
So basically, we get to the University of Utah, right?
Colorado.
Colorado.
I know too much about this
Is it?
show.
All right, whatever.
And maybe it's different in the show. It's Colorado. And,
Well, they wind up.
they're
the
near-
final episode is Colorado.
Yeah.
No, Colorado.
No,
is,
they go to Colorado.
Is,
They go to Colorado on horseback, and they vacated. They possibly relocate to Salt Lake City. That's
That's
what
what
it
it
is.
is.
Okay.
So they go to University of Colorado. They find, once again, this is a gameplay heavy section, so they kind of just hit all the major beats. They explore
Still
the area.
monkeys.
Yes, still
Still got
monkeys.
the
That was
monkeys.
very important to have
Thank
the
the
monkeys.
Like
Fucking
Aladdin,
Lord.
he's got the monkeys.
Well, that's a throwback joke. So you get the monkeys, and then this time you get four. You get the 4 fireflies. They are fireflies.
They're not fireflies.
No.
They're
Oh no,
cannibals.
they're cannibals. That's right. And they stab. They kill the one guy,
But in the midst of trying to kill the one guy, he gets him with the baseball bat.
which is a
Beautiful change. I was very nervous.
because honestly, like you still need to have that injury for what comes next in the story to happen. Like you still need to incapacitate Joel, but the way that they did it in the game is just like, how
you want to talk about
How does it happen
suspended
in the
disbelief?
in the
He
ga-
literally falls.
through a fucking glass railing and lands on a piece of rebar that goes through his back and out his like front.
he was up on like an upper
Yeah,
deck.
somebody
in the,
somebody
There is-
tackles him.
There is not a damn way in hell anybody would really live through that. No,
No,
matter if
not at
they
all.
got fucking and the connotation in the game is that Ellie like stitched him up, which is the same connotation that you get here, but like
but also went through organs and,
And
in
he-
one
No,
side,
I
out
missed.
the
He's
other.
good. He's good.
he's good. He is Joel Miller.
Yeah.
Play something, Pat. Play
I don't.
something.
I don't know. That's okay.
But
But you cut that weird.
You sure did.
I couldn't get the. There is
You
no
couldn't get the
you.
don't?
It just fucking touch me. Like
but I was happy because I didn't know what they were gonna do and how they were gonna make it believable. But that shit where he gets stabbed is still fucking believable because it is bad. That blood pours.
Wait, you remember what I said though about how why in every goddamn movie, TV show do they always pull it out?
Oh
Like,
yeah, because
why?
that's the stupidest
Why?
thing you could do.
Why?
I mean, you're in shock. Like, Ellie's not going to know to not pull it out. And Joel's kind of just like, well, fuck. And also kind of doesn't
Well-
care if he lives or dies still.
And he's like,
So-
she's like Joel, and he's like, and he just takes it out because I think he also
Could
was
you
worried
do
that
sound
he's
effect again.
I think he's also worried that he's scaring her. Like, don't you gotta add the don't, bro.
That's a good
there
point.
is no don't. I'm telling
You
you.
gotta just record one and put it in.
That
there.
is a good point, though, where it's kind of like, oh, okay, no,
Don't.
I'm okay. Look, like, I'm
Right.
okay. I took it out. Like, it's fine. Like, don't worry.
because the adrenaline is still pumping through his vein. Like he doesn't. I don't think he even real until if she had never said anything, he actually probably might have left it in there longer, which may have been okay. It still would have ended up bad. But
But
like
he's got to ride on a fucking
just
horse
very
with
much-
his baseball bat in.
it just very much had that same like mindset of like, have you guys? I know the answer to this question. Have you guys ever seen that movie
No.
Rampage with The Rock?
No.
Okay, there's
No.
a scene where Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character
No,
literally
Pat,
shoots
I
him
do
in
have a
the
life outside
abdomen.
of recording this podcast, so I haven't sat down to watch Rampage.
Yeah, but you
with
got
The
no
Rock.
life outside of rehearsals. Okay,
That's
so
true.
so he stands up and they go, "Oh, are you okay?" And he goes, "It's okay. I think it missed every internal organ." Like,
Shut the fuck up.
Kind of like what it is. Like that's the air that it gives off. You know what I mean? Like it's just like. Okay, but even then, like that movie went on to like, you know, he's fine. Whereas in this, like, eventually he passes out. Also, there's some debate if the horse is real or not.
It's real. It is. You can see it
Because there's
move.
So is
some
the
scene-
giraffe.
The giraffe is
bro.
crazy. Anyway,
We'll get
and then so
What
Joel,
are the people saying about the horse?
well, there's some debate. Well, in the close-up shots, the horse is absolutely fake. The horse is a fake horse on a trailer that they're pulling behind like an ATV or something, and they have all a bunch of camera rigs on it, right?
editor, can we get a picture of the horse here?
In the
I don't know who the editor is of this. I think it's Pat.
There's no editor. It just goes up.
Editor, can we take out the picture of the horse that I asked for, please?
There you go.
Yeah, I got to go print it. Hold on.
I got a red light room.
Liz.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, here we go. So there's
Editor, cut this out.
there's your
That's a pretty good looking fake horse.
and like
Look
look
at
at
the
the
happy
stunt
look.
doubles.
They're stunt
Look at the
doubles.
stunt
He's
doubles.
Is that Mark
Smiling.
Wahlberg?
It's Matt Damon.
It's
Nick.
Matt Damon and fucking
The Derbyshire.
oh, what's her name
So
from?
this is a real horse, you know.
That a
they,
bucking
you know,
bronco?
It's an
I,
amputee horse.
I forgot about the amputee horse game.
So yeah, so
Anyway,
like I said, there's some debate. Also, they said some shit like there's a scene where the horse is like
He's happy. He's so happy.
like,
that is not a real horse.
so there is some debate on one of the wide shots too. It's like that horse is standing a little still, and
It's cold.
this is
that's literally the horse
This-
trainer was
this
like,
is
he
also-
is really on set that day. It was just very cold and he did not want to move.
there's
don't blame
also there's also this was also the episode where the camera crew was in the bottom left of the shot. However, they have since re-uploaded the episode in CGI that just painted them out. Like,
HBO really has a bad history.
This is
of
not
that.
nearly as bad as the coffee cup. The coffee cup was
bad.
center frame,
Yeah.
and nobody told the actors. Like, are you kidding me?
Is that gone now?
Whereas
Did
this
they
was
have
just
that?
like,
Oh, God,
was
that's
this is
such-
like
that's
There's a fucking
marvel.
drone.
It's a drone, and they have it on a fucking iPhone. All right, I think we got it. Like, there's no way they could see that until they saw the dailies. So
Also, the editors, I can imagine, like, it's easy to overlook.
It's easy to
some
overlook
black
something like
dots.
that.
Because they also don't look. They don't stand out enough until someone's like, "Hey, fucking look at that," and then you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I understand." And I'll tell you, I missed the coffee cup in the Game of Thrones episode. I think
so
that was Bella
enthralled.
Ramsey's episode. I think
so
that
did
was
the editors.
I think that was the Leanna Moore mom episode, which is ironic.
Don't you think?
What's it called? We also forgot to mention in the beginning of this episode with the 10 miles west of Boston.
Dude, so
What-
good.
I loved the Reddit thread where they're like, 10 miles west of Boston sure does look like Nova Scotia.
We didn't talk about the fucking fisher or the hunter and his wife either.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was
a cold
so
open
good,
For this.
yeah.
That's where the panic attack
One of the
happens.
better additions.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I
do
loved
remember
that
now.
wife.
She's
like,
great.
She's like, I don't know. If he's here to
He's
kill
like-
us, he's here to kill us.
he's
But I
like,
made
did-
him some stew.
He's like, "Did you lie to him?" No. Are you lying to me? No. She's like, "What the fuck are you thinking?" No, you idiot.
She's like, yeah.
All right. So let's move on. We're going into Left Behind now, which is the
What number is
DLC. It's
7.
episode 7. Which is we're doing good on time. Which is
I'm not worried about time. I want to know what number
okay.
episode we're on.
I'm just making sure.
We're going all night.
Also, coincidentally, the name of one of my favorite Slipknot songs. Anyway, so Ellie.
Can I get a
is-
close up on my face, please?
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
Pat, shut the fuck up.
Oh, don't you
I-
fucking
I-
come in here and
I love
act
you
like
so
Mark
much.
I
this entire
second the
time.
motion for Pat to shut the fuck
All in
up.
favor? Yeah.
Mike, get in on this.
Shut the fuck up.
All right, Pat's left, everyone. I'm
right,
in
so
charge now.
Welcome to Press Any Key. I'm your host, Mike Burke.
Oh, let me get those drops over here. I didn't
So
play.
this is Left Behind.
I didn't play the DLC, so this was all brand
coincidentally
new
the
to
title
me.
of one of Pat Naparano's favorite Slipknot
I
songs.
took
I
a-
don't know if anyone. Oh, Pat, you're back.
I took a lap, everybody.
Special guest Pat Naparano.
Hey, everyone.
So,
So,
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, there's the chaos we were talking about.
yay!
this is Ellie and Joel with an injured Joel in the basement of some godforsaken house.
That's my house. Be nice.
You live there too? I live there.
Small world.
Small house.
So during this
Hey,
time,
what did I
Ellie-
just say? Go ahead.
We're off the rails. We're just, it's done. It's done. It's done.
You
Let's
got
wrap
up
it
and left.
everybody.
You did. You should never have left.
So Ellie remembers her time. This is when she reflects on her time in Fedra Military School, which I thought that was a nice addition to
Very
see,
nice.
like her, like how they basically indoctrinate their children. And I also love the scenes with like specifically the officer telling her like you're only gonna have 3 outcomes. You're gonna fall off a wall. You're gonna catch a bullet from a firefly, or
Or-
get torn apart by infected.
And then, but then also says one of the best lines ever, which is one of those like, I can't believe that the world is still the same even after a full-on virus or like a full-on pandemic outbreak.
People don't change.
And also, he says,
People don't forget.
He goes, or you can tell the Bethanies of the world what to do. And I was like,
Yep.
damn, you're still thinking about the bullies in high school that you had. Like that's things change, but they still stay the same.
Yes.
They
Yes.
stay the same, and that is one of the coolest parts of this episode is that the whole episode is dedicated to being like, hey, you know how there's a full-on like fungal zombification outbreak happening? Well, guess what? The world still sucks the way it did when you were in high school. So even though everyone's worried about becoming
government
brain-eating
are
infected,
Nazis.
the government still doesn't take care of you, and you will still want to hurt the people around you if they wrong you. And like it is so fucking bone chilling and ridiculously insane how everything is the same. All right. Are you cutting me off because I'm talking to
No, no.
That would be a great way to do it. though.
Yeah, that's that guy who like who
That's,
was the front runner. Who
What the fuck was his name?
Nick, what were you saying about DLC?
Oh yeah. So we go into the DLC.
DLC, yeah.
And I didn't play the DLC. I didn't know about it until recently. So this is the first episode where I'm like going in blind, and it was really fun to watch this play out without having any expectations.
Mike.
I just keep going. It's good.
Okay. Yeah, keep it up.
I didn't play the DLC either. So
what I liked about this episode specifically is that it kind of felt like, even though it like, I know how Nick said before how there wasn't really that existential dread or like that impending doom, but it felt like they really siloed themselves as like the writers siloed these characters so they could experience these emotions together, and basically take Ellie as a night out in the town and explain to her that like Fedra's lying to her, you got to join the Fireflies, yada yada yada.
The Fireflies.
Did I say that?
No, you're fine.
But
We'll fix it in post.
Editor, can you edit that out, please?
but it gets to
I'm doing so much.
I got blisters on my fingers. But it also still has that sense of impending doom, because it's like, when's this gonna go wrong? Like, when is this shit gonna hit the fan? And I feel like it reaches that exact moment of like, all right, let's wrap this shit up, when all hell breaks loose. You know what I mean?
And so in terms of what the DLC is like, Nick, this is pretty much moment for moment the DLC, but the thing that's missing from the DLC is Ellie has a whole, rather than like right at the end where she kind of like scavenges through the house trying to find something, like she finds the needle and thread. She's in another mall, and she is scavenging through the mall trying to find a med kit, just something with like any sort of like gauze.
I didn't even realize that it took place sequentially the same place. I just figured it was a one-off story.
So I think this is a retroactive user score, because this was not like this when it came out.
Yeah, I remember
It was
people not
huge.
liking it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, God, if we go to the reviews,
Look at all the 10s. Like, it's just 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 100. Like,
Wait, go to one of those bad reviews.
Well,
What
that's
is it?
oh yeah, you know my
what's their problem?
my,
here?
you know,
God,
my
there's
favorite place to
definitely
hang
more
out.
much
negative
gay.
reviews.
Yeah, first, I feel ripped off. No new weapons, creatures, or anything mentioning. Do not waste your money. Do not waste your time.
No new weapons. What did you want, like Ellie to come in with a laser rifle? You're like, look what I found.
It's weird how the aliens also invaded at the same time and gave me this cool laser gun.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, these I can't do that. That's
It's
enough
not
of that.
worth it. It's not worth it.
If this was one of those episodes where I wanted to subject myself to horrible reviews and then read them off to everybody, I would. But no,
That's next week.
That's next week.
The only bad thing about it, I think, is that you don't, in the DLC, you get to see Ellie, like, again, that kind of what you were saying, where, like, she's this girl who could do this on her own. She does really kind of do it on her own in the DLC, but I don't think that's this Ellie, so it makes sense to not have her do it, which is nice. But instead, you get this cool moment bookend with, like, she's about to leave, the whole of the memory plays, and instead of leaving, she goes and does the one thing that she knows is right, which is, I'm going to save this motherfucker because everybody else is gone, and he's the only one who hasn't left yet, and if it's up to me, it
Everyone
won't happen.
I've cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you.
That was a little long, but yeah. But no, that plays right into this. Like, he's the only one that hasn't ever left her or died, so she's gonna save his life.
And it's also directly after he makes the decision again to not leave her.
Right.
Yes. So she feels indebted to him. What'd you think? I feel like they hid the bites really well. Like when the thing actually bit them.
I think because I knew I was looking for it, I was able to kind of see it. I didn't see Riley's. I saw Ellie's pretty clearly. But I think Ellie's is less heartbreaking because you already knew.
Yeah.
Riley's is severely heartbreaking because, again, if you don't know, there are two options here. There's what happens where she also gets bit, but there's another option where Ellie
we go
thinks,
out all poetic and lose our minds together.
That's and the other option is Ellie's the only one who gets bit, and Riley makes the decision of, I'm not gonna shoot you, kind of like what Marlene almost does.
Yeah.
Where, like, I'm not gonna shoot you, I am gonna leave you here, and I love you and I care about you, but I can't watch this happen to you, and I can't let you I can't be the
I
one
can't
to kill
make
you.
a conscious
Yeah.
choice.
I was about to ask you guys which one do you think it was though.
What?
Like, which choice do you think she made? Did you think Ellie made? Do you think Ellie just left
Oh,
her?
I'm talking
Or
about-
do you think
yeah.
Ellie shot
Oh,
her?
No,
well, she says
she
she did.
kills her. Remember, she talks about, she's like, remember when I told you I hadn't killed anybody before? And then she goes through like a recap of that story, and she's like, we got bit. I had to kill her because she got crazy. I
In
didn't.
the game, she never recaps it, which is kind of cool because it leaves it up to the imagination. But there's no world where, like, I don't think she doesn't. because I think she has to.
Just to be clear, I wouldn't shoot any of you guys.
Aw.
I
Thanks,
would.
man.
No,
I'd
no,
expect
no.
you to kill me.
I would want you to
I-
kill me.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly why.
You fuck.
He's like, I'm not giving you this.
Precisely why. I'd yeah.
You're gonna
You know,
bring
like-
me on your show, and then you're gonna tell me you wouldn't give me my wish.
Sorry. Hey, listen, man.
That's what we're about here is granting wishes.
The Make-A-Wish podcast.
Except we have no resources, no money.
Damn.
They got no money,
I got no money.
no bitches. All right. So yeah, she finds a sewing needle. She stitches up Joel's wound. We go into the next episode, which is When We Are in Need. Now, this is the one that features Troy Baker, who is the original actor for Joel. Also, I somehow they made David less freaky and still more menacing at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because he's just a regular guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
He's the
things.
he's
also-
the evil that could be lurking anywhere around you.
They
and
also,
you
like,
don't know it.
Especially churches.
Yeah, in the game, especially
Damn, dude.
churches.
Yeah.
Well, in the game,
Especially.
when that whole kind of situation goes down, like he has a gun on him,
Yeah.
and like he doesn't, use it on Ellie and like kind of do it, and it just, like I think that makes him so much more fucked up in the game because it's like you're just playing the long con. This one, I kind of like that. Like did that with like Troy's character as kind of being like he could have just killed him with that. Or he could have killed her with that in that part, but I liked it that they made him even more innocent almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they shoot the deer. Well, she shoots the deer, and then they try to take the deer from her. She strikes the deal, basically saying like
You go get me penicillin, I'll give you this deer.
half the deer. That's right.
Or yeah, half
Um,
the deer.
And then when he finds out that now in the game, was it brought up that Joel killed
Yes.
No.
one of their guys? It was.
It
'Cause
was.
I don't remember.
watched the side by side
Oh,
earlier.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is brought up.
But
okay.
it is never
I don't feel like that's
so
the
expli-
linchpin though.
And it's never so explicitly like they talked about it on the podcast, and they do it a lot in part 2 where they realized something really cool, and it's that why the hell would we care what Joel does unless these people mattered to somebody? So they name everyone. And
right.
like that is
Oh, dude, you're right. Like in the game when there's people screaming in the background.
yeah.
Janet, no.
yeah, they
Oh man.
they do this
Marty.
Who are you people?
Who are you people? But they do it now. They did it now in the series, and they talked about like Joel, the I forget what the name of the guy is, but like David even says it. He's like, it's this girl lost her father, same thing as you, and now she
she's
wants
gotta
justice
eat
for
him.
her daddy. Now she's gonna eat him. And it's the idea that like just because you have a Joel doesn't mean that he's the good guy.
Yeah.
In fact, he killed somebody else's dad, and now she doesn't have one.
There's that gray area.
and it's like, oh shit, like,
Um,
no.
But there is that line in the game, in the show. It's the same in the game as I believe everything happens for a reason.
Oh right.
So
yes.
he does bring it back to there's this crazy man who killed some of our people.
He's traveling
and
the
he's traveling
country with a little girl.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Now I do remember that. So specifically, the part where she injects the most antibiotics I've ever seen injected straight into somebody's
Kill a
wound.
horse.
Yeah, it comes back around. Yeah, no. So eventually he's revived while Ellie is taken captive after was it Troy Baker gets her or David
Troy Baker gets her.
Yeah.
He shoots the horse.
That's right. Yeah, the fake horse.
Fucked up, Troy.
I know, killing a horse,
And then we get to
shooting a
see-
disabled horse.
We get to
the gift horse in the mouth.
you shoot the gift horse. in the mouth.
What fucking
So-
podcast am I on?
So
This is
you
Press
didn't-
Any Key.tv.
You didn't listen or watched any of this before you came on.
We got
here, did you?
105 episodes that you never listened to.
So
you want 500 hours of content to catch up on?
Yes.
So we finally get to see the little glimpse of that really brutal side of Joel. I love the fact that we got a stealth kill just like the game where, cover up the mouth and, stab him. Then you get the whole, the line with, point to where it is on the map and you better hope that your buddy also
he goes, "I'll
points to him.
pop your fucking
Yeah. Oh my
kneecap off,"
god.
and
I was
like,
which is
twitching.
which is exactly like the game, even to the point where he puts the knife in his mouth and makes him mark the spot. And I love the. He told you the truth. What if he's lying? He's like, I believe him.
yeah,
And
he's like,
cracks him
I'm not
with the
fucking
pipe.
telling you anything, man. It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
I will say I noticed I did watch a lot of side by sides to get ready for this episode, and in the game it looked so much brutally colder than the TV show did, and I didn't pick up on it watching the show, so it didn't take away. But just that extra like blueness made it feel so much more brutal.
Yeah.
I think with that too, like this episode really like we focus on Ellie's brutality. So it's like doing that with Joel, like you know what he's capable of. So it's like, okay, it's
He's
good.
got a particular set of skills.
Exactly. So like him being, I mean, popping the kneecap's pretty damn brutal, but like, yeah, it's so much more
Just
dark
saying
in the
it
game.
makes me feel upset.
But I'm like, I like that he didn't like go through and just like basically end episode this.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then you see Ellie.
But
just
also,
like,
I
boom.
feel like it's HBO learning from like The Long Night. You know what I mean? From
It's where
all
you
of their.
don't need to fucking like drag this shit out. It's like,
But even then, I mean, just in general, like the actual color palette of the show doesn't need to be so dark
Yeah.
where you're obscuring the actors
It was
because
very natural.
everyone fucking hated that about that episode of Game of Thrones. You know what I mean?
everything in TV and movies right now. You mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well,
Can I
fair
ask,
enough.
What now that we're talking about it, I think this is probably in my top 3 episodes. Where does this rank for you?
this is my number 2 episode.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And honestly, the only reason it is not number 1 is because I think I just have a personal connection to episode 5, which is, you know, a fucking whatever it is. What I love about this episode is it, for me, if anybody was not sold on Bella Ramsey being Ellie, this should calm
Yes.
any
Yes.
problem you have.
Agreed.
Because there's a couple moments. I wrote all of episode 8 is my big like top 5 moments for Bella Ramsey being Ellie. If I had to name like the 3 from the episode, the biggest one is it's not even the hacking him away. It's the when he has her in the cage and he touches her hand and she goes, "Oh." And it's just like you're like, "Holy cuz she has me from that moment on. I'm like, you can do whatever you want in this episode. I will watch you to the ends of the earth. And if you fucking die, and I know, she's not because there's one more episode. But from the moment, I'm like, if you fucking die in this episode, I will ruin everybody.
I mean, this is the obvious one, but it's the baby girl moment where she's looking into his eyes covered in David's blood. It's just like you see this.
Yeah.
I have now changed. There is something internally different about me from this point forward.
The best, like the best part of that is like I loved, and I think they talked about it either on the podcast or whatever, is at that point when Ellie is a broken person entirely, that when she sees Joel, when she's been afraid of every single other person in her life, she can't say anything. She just grabs and holds him. And that that gives me chills like talking about
sure.
it. It's such a, no, it's so like,
and
It just sounded like the meme.
the other thing is they don't bring him into the restaurant. They talk about it like they would have written themselves into a corner where they're like, David says he has the keys, so how the fuck does Joel get in? Also, why would he willingly go into the fire? Like he's trying to search for a way in. It doesn't make sense for him to bust her in there and then not save her anyway. But I love it because it gives her that moment where she walks out of the restaurant and she is the snow. You want to talk about color palette? It is white as it can get with the snow and the restaurant in the back. She's wearing this like palish sweater and she is covered in blood.
It
and
reminds me of the scene in The Batman when he falls into that water and then rises up a different character than when
His baptism.
His
well,
baptism,
yeah, it's like it's the baptism in blood.
Yeah. Baptized in fire.
Fire and blood.
So, a couple things I love about this episode. Number 1 is that new Ellie kills old Joel. That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
And I feel like even though like it was fun for me to watch this episode because I knew the reveal of the cannibals, and Liz did not. So I get to watch her face. She was like, wait, they're fucking eating people? I was like, yeah, that's the tell in the beginning of the episode where he's like,
what's
fresh
this?
venison.
No, what's this?
venison.
No. There's a long beat. venison.
That'd be great if he was just like,
And then they walk in, but then they walk in with the deer.
Yeah.
So all these
Yep.
people are like,
Oh yeah.
They fed her dead father
I know.
to the daughter.
Oh,
And
can we
then-
bury my father? It's too cold.
Yeah, too
the
cold.
ground is too cold.
also like
the earth
just
is
to
too shallow or
yeah.
whatever the fuck he says.
to add to his horribleness, it shows everybody eating so quickly and in such meager portions, and that fuck has a huge plate in front of him and he's slowly eating.
And then
it's just-
Troy
oh.
Baker's character too, they talked about in the making of, he's very like, you can tell he doesn't want to be eating this man meat.
Yeah.
That's his friend.
That's his friend.
He knows it.
I will say the reveal of the cannibals was a little because I feel like in the game it was like, here's this bucket of innards, where it's like in the
It wasn't
show,
even a bucket
it was
of
just
innards.
an
They
ear.
cut off a dude's arm. They literally, he's on there. They go, whoop, and they throw it onto the floor, and she sees it.
I thought it was just the ear.
Floop Flump?
No,
That was
No,
a
it's
show.
it's more
And
on it's
then-
more on the nose in the game.
And then
It's
Joel,
actually more on
on
the
the
game.
ear. Yeah, thank you.
Joel finds all those bodies strung up too. So Joel thinks one of them looks like a little girl. So Joel already thinks that maybe he's too late too. So that, if he didn't have a sense of urgency before, he certainly has one now. Specifically, the biggest change from this moment from the game to the television show I can't believe I just said that. Is that they left the dialogue in. Whereas in the game, when Joel consoles Ellie, they mute the dialogue on purpose because the reasoning was that dialogue is only for those two characters.
Right.
That was the moment for them. So there has been...
I'm playing it now.
Oh, you were talking about the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's what
no,
I'm
no,
saying,
no,
is
not
that in the
ear.
show, it was just the ear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh, there's that.
And he
Floop.
whoops it off.
Yeah. So, but specifically, like, I'm glad that they left that in because once again, I didn't need to wake up on Twitter and see like, did anybody else's my TV muted and cut out what the dialogue was? What? Because that was the hysteria around that moment when it came out for PS3. It was just specific, and even when I replayed it a couple of years ago, I was like, my fucking audio
I
just
don't
cut
even
out?
know what part you're talking about.
when they finally like meet and he's like, it's okay, I got
When
you.
he
I didn't
tells
even
her,
really- it
because the
didn't
speculation
sound
is that she tells him,
What
never
happened?
leave me again, please never leave me again, and he says, I will never leave you again, baby girl, and then it just cuts and then they go to summer, or spring
It's
rather, I guess.
also I think in the game too, it's kind of like you're getting that like shell shock PTSD trauma,
Yeah.
like
Right.
where it's almost kind of like you like because
It's like
you
a
just
gunshot
played
he's off her
going off.
you just
covering
played
her
as
ears.
her,
Yeah.
So yeah, you're getting that kind of like ringing almost.
So I don't want to spend too much more time on this episode.
Did we feel like we rushed through
I was
winter?
literally about to bring that up. This was the first
yeah.
episode I watched that I was like, this went way too fast. Like, this could have used another
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes.
I needed a little bit more of
Yeah.
Ellie trying to make it on her own.
I missed the bow and arrow section. I
Yeah.
think bow and arrow is
And-
it is her weapon.
Yes,
it's
and
her weapon in
truthfully-
part 2 too.
Truthfully, I feel like that is the big criticism overall is that the pacing was just too fast for the ends of the season. But you got to remember is that these are gameplay sections,
Right.
and as gamers, you're expecting a certain level of length or storytelling. But those sections of storytelling are informed by the gameplay, and they're just not going to do that
Right.
in the show.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's kind of a cop out answer to say it's like you couldn't have written filled out these sections with dialogue rather than making them gameplay sections. Fill it out with dialogue.
well,
But
a lot
then
of
you run the risk of, I know you're about to say, is that you're filling time just to fill time. You know what I mean? It's a delicate balance.
For sure.
And I feel
but
like
to just cut it out feels like
well,
a cop out.
I
to
think
me.
like the white space of it not being there is more impactful than filling it with random dialogue. is
I
what would
disagree,
say.
but
that's
okay.
fine.
I think if you're going to add anything, and then we can move on, Pat. I know we're running.
No,
over on this
we're
episode,
good. Yeah, go ahead.
is
Just
I think if you could add anything, it doesn't even need to be a dialogue section. For me, the only thing that was missing, and I think the reason it's missing is because the episode starts differently than it would have, because when you're in the game, the first moment of this gameplay section is the reveal that you're playing as Ellie, and that you can't.
rabbit?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the rabbit.
they
with
kept
the
the
bow and
rabbit
arrow.
in too.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing with the with the bow and arrow. That's the hard thing with an episode like this is that
Wait, did they keep
what
the rabbit in?
No.
It got away.
She's trying to hunt the rabbit.
Yeah, she doesn't get it.
Yes,
The
right.
hard thing about this is that you have the opportunity to do one of two things. You can either flesh out the cannibals more and make it clearer why it's so important, because it plays into one of two things. The first thing is it fleshes out the cannibals as characters that don't just exist for the sake of existing. It fleshes out the reason why Joel is not a good person. It fleshes out the fact that like Joel killed someone for Ellie, but he didn't kill her for he may have killed him for Ellie, but he killed someone's father. He killed somebody's friend, and these people are trying to survive just like he is. So you run the risk of either doing that, or you don't have the same impact as what the game has, where like you open up and you're realizing, holy shit, I'm playing as Ellie trying to survive. And I think that there might have been an opportunity where like we see Ellie hunting the rabbit with the bow and arrow, and she's not doing a great job. She finally gets it. She sees the deer, it gets away, and she goes back to Joel. And then later she decides, later she decides, I'm gonna go try fucking again, and she brings the gun instead.
Yeah,
that might
right.
be the way I would
But also,
fix it. But
it's important too to have that moment is Ellie's really alone.
right.
Joel, he's kind of comatose at this point in the game. Whereas
He might be dead. We don't
he's-
really know.
He might be dead. And like, so in the show, it's presented as Ellie and Joel. Joel is now sick, and then immediately she's now with two other characters. Whereas that time of her being alone is hugely important to her development as a character.
I'll totally give you that. Having that
Yeah.
space where it like is her on her own, which also doesn't like. I guess my point with that was like it doesn't need to be dialogue.
If it
You could have shown-
be totally speechless and
Right.
just her failing and realizing I'm so fucked right now
Yeah.
because I'm alone.
Would you give her a good sense of smallness, like when she's like trying to hold the rifle against the two guys? Like she can't hold a rifle. Like
Right.
even when she's hunting, she's putting it on like the log. So
Can I offer a question?
Sure.
How would you feel if Left Behind and When We Are in Need had been switched as episodes? And When We Are in Need is episode 7 and Left Behind is episode 8.
I would not have liked that because I would have felt going into episode 8. Come on, motherfuckers! I want to see how
Because that to me is essentially the way the game is set up, where it's like When We Are in Need is the reveal of like we don't, because I think that's also the thing about the game is that there is a moment where you question, holy shit, is Joel dead? And is she gonna have to finish this out? Because they did it before. They killed
Yeah.
Sarah immediately. And it's not like you are not safe from that. And I think that's important. But that is where the game has the ability to say like we're gonna shock them, because that was something they never revealed. They were asked the question at press release, at all of like Comic-Con, whatever it is, can you play as Ellie? And Neil Druckmann always said the same thing. No, you cannot play as Ellie. Or something to the effect of like
he said that
Joel is the playable character.
he said in regards to the first game or the second
first
game?
game.
Okay.
He said something to the effect of Joel is the only playable main
and then he
character.
said the same thing about the second game too.
Right.
That
And so
Ellie's the only
people,
playable
so
character.
when you got to play as Ellie, I think that was the big thing, is that when you get to play as Ellie in the first game, you're excited because you care about her. Then when you get to play as Abby in the second game, people are like, fuck this. But I think that's where this was always going to be the tough point of the season, because it hinges so much on the ability to trust the audience and say, we need to make sure that they think Joel might be dead. And because of episode 7, I don't think you can believe it, because you know that there's more episodes left. You know that there's more story still to tell. She has not gotten to the Fireflies, and therefore you cannot ever rule out the fact that Joel is probably still alive.
You don't think so? Like with HBO, they're not afraid to kill off.
I also said,
main
this goes back
characters.
to what I said before about good writers writing themselves into corners and setting the expectation for the audience, And if you're not familiar with the game,
Right.
it's possible.
Right.
So, let's move on to the final episode of season 1 at least, because we do have some stuff to talk about for the future of the show. So, in this episode, they introduce Anna, which is a new addition
Which
to
is the third best thing that they did.
okay,
Keep
which is played by Ashley Johnson, who is the original Ellie, and it's the day that Ellie gives birth, and when you find out how she became immune, pretty much, which I thought wasn't too like sci-fi, like out of the question. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was within the rules of the universe. It wasn't weird or like forced or anything like that.
Did you see on baby Ellie's ankle? It looked like mycelium.
Oh no!
Oh
And
no,
I
but
didn't.
it's
I don't.
possible.
I don't know if that was actually
I gotta
there
look
or if
back.
I just
Or if
imagined
it's
it.
placenta.
Or if it's placenta, it might be some afterbirth. But if that was on there, I really.
Scrumptious.
If
Are
it-
we allowed to say placenta on this podcast?
Yes.
No, we're all men.
Placenta.
Go on, Nick.
Placenta. Keep going.
No, to me, it just that I don't like the way the mycelium is presented in general in the show. I know a lot of people like it, so that's cool, but I'm not into that. And I just don't know if I felt like this scene was necessary. It's cool to know, whereas the other scenes, the doctor in Indonesia, the guy on the talk show in the 60s, I thought both of those felt like these were important additions. This scene felt like just fan service.
What? No.
I kind of
We don't need to know why
I
Ellie's
We
disagree.
do
immune.
because you
I
have
di- I
Marlene
disagree.
there throughout the entire life of Ellie,
Yeah.
and you get that weight of actually like when she's like later
This
on
is
in the
the
Find out
same
how
thing as
big of a
saying
piece of
we
shit
need to
Marlene
know-
actually is, though.
We need to know why Han
Like-
Solo, how he did
No.
a Kessel
No, no, no,
Run.
no, no,
no,
No,
it is
you
not.
get- this
We're
is-
not doing Star Wars again.
No, this is also the first person. This is
I hope you were on that camera.
I wasn't, but this is the first time somebody leaves Ellie. It is impactful. She is like in her most vulnerable, and that is her immediate thing that she's left.
But it also informs what a piece of shit Marlene is, because Marlene
I would say that's
and
more important to me.
Marlene and Anna are supposed to be like the best of friends. I mean, it was written kind of clunkily, like how
Yeah.
long have we known each other? Our entire lives. Like, but that tells the audience that like she's making a promise to her dying friend that you are to take my daughter, you are to raise my daughter, and you are to make sure that she grows up to
But
be
here's
loved.
the thing.
And then
Does that
Marlene
make-
turns on
Does
her.
that make Marlene a piece of shit for doing something that's morally gray? She's thinking about the greater good.
Yes,
She's-
it is 100%. It 100% makes her a piece of shit because Joel is also a piece of shit. I think that's the thing. Is that,
Marlene
like,
is being selfless and doing this thing, that making a choice that is really hard.
So
in the
this
same
is-
way
Joel is
that
being,
every cast
Joel
member
is being selfish and making a choice that is
So-
easy for
so
him.
here's-
Hold on, wait, before you
Go,
start.
go, go.
this is
In
the
same
beauty of
way-
the story.
Here we go. Here we go. I
In-
knew we were gonna get here and it was gonna get hot.
In the same way that every cast member of 90 Day Fiancé is a piece of shit, every cast member of The Last of Us is also a piece of shit in their own
you're
way.
presenting her making the choice to sacrifice Ellie for the greater good as being the reason she's a piece of shit.
But based upon telling her mother that she would always care for her and
No,
look out
no, no,
for
no.
her.
So just to clarify with that, she's like, find somebody who will take care of my daughter. She
Not
didn't.
you.
She didn't say
Not
you because
you.
she inherently doesn't trust Marlene.
Oh, that's actually a good point.
They talk about it in the podcast. This is not me. you
yeah,
know,
okay,
but
fair
Right.
enough.
they like it's just figure it out. I know you'll take care of him, and then they throw her in the Fedra camp because she's like, you're fine there. Basically.
This is the thing though too, right? Because I don't know if Marlene is selfless. I don't know if Marlene is selfless. I don't know if the Firefly's mission is morally just. Yes, we would like to make a cure for this fungus. But here's the thing, and this is something that like as I've watched videos and like I care too much about this series. It's really a bad thing. I need a hobby.
This is the hobby.
But like
yeah,
that's true.
You talk about it here.
Welcome.
But the thing about it is there is nothing is written to show us that the Fireflies are going to mass distribute this cure. They are going to use it only to reinstate the world as it once was and change everything. There is a very, very, very high possibility that Marlene, or anybody in the Fireflies for that matters, goes, we now have the key to hold everyone where we need them. We have
And
the key
they-
to Fedra. We have the key to the population. We have the key to the world right now.
They allude to this when with Kathleen's character, they say basically when Fedra got down, it's like when you have dictatorships, basically, it's like when you remove one of them, the next kind of thing to step
Right.
in will be that. So they do talk about it.
Yeah, but also, I don't really agree with this whole line of logic because the whole fucking game is based on get her to where she has to go to
Right.
create a vaccine. So like this whole idea that sprung up in the last however many years of like maybe the Fireflies, who's to say they were going to be benevolent rulers? Just that was never in question. I
No,
don't think
of
that's
course.
ever a part of the question.
That's fair.
The point is it's set. It's said to the player. It's said to the viewer. Get her, create the vaccine. All the shit about the gray area about the Fireflies, I feel like is
using
irrelevant.
it more as like it fuels why Marlene why this is important, because we need to know that
but
Marlene.
I do see that discourse a lot right now, and it pisses me off because it's like these doctors would have never been able. It's like
They're
not
a fucking
that's not,
rebel group.
That's
We
not
know that.
the point.
Of
Like,
course,
like,
it was a 1 in a million shot.
You don't have the
that this was gonna
premier
work.
brain surgeon
Well,
like
no,
waiting.
no. See, I'm saying it's accepted that they are going to make a vaccine. Like,
there's no question.
That is the moral conundrum, is that did Joel just kill all these people and fuck the fate of the world to save Ellie?
And
you know
that's
what
where
I mean?
people,
Like,
and that's where people have to. This is where we get a leg to stand on, and this is where it's important, because there is a way to view this opening as, wow, Marlene is selfless in every regard, even up until the point where like she was about to leave Anna and not fulfill her last wish, and she does anyway because she cares about Anna. But also, I don't think fucking Marlene did it because she cares about Anna. I think Marlene did it because she couldn't handle the fact that this woman might come back, turn right then and there, and kill all of them.
Yes.
Like, that's in my head. Marlene didn't make a selfless act by fulfilling Anna's last wish because she almost made the decision not to. I think in that split moment, and this is something that I would love to hear like Meryl Dandridge talk about, why does she go back and kill her? Because in my head, based on everything I've heard and everything I see about Marlene, it is not I care about Anna so much. It is, if she survives and turns right now and I'm the reason all of us die, that will haunt me for fucking ever.
You're getting hung up on the putting her out of her misery thing. I am more concerned about the taking the child and putting it in a home that will take care of her thing.
But she did.
fire station babies.
In what aspect?
That's the more morally selfless part of it. Let me take a step back. The morally selfless thing is this woman who you made a promise to that you would protect her child. Now you're sentencing to death because you know on a moral, like the morality of it is on a grander scale. This is more important, creating the cure at a utilitarian level.
Well, that's the whole thing. The whole point of it being like, what is more important to you as the person for the greater good? Is Marlene being the stand-in mom? If she's not the direct like mom, then does she care about it that way? So you have all of these parallels as to
so
that.
I would say like that's got to be a difficult decision for Marlene to make, to say this girl who I promised to protect is now the key to solving the world's biggest problem. I unfortunately have to be the one to make
She's not
this call.
wrong. Like, again, no one is wrong.
But I also, the thing about Marlene also, and I don't think it gets talked about nearly enough, it's starting to now, finally. Where did she fucking put Ellie? Think about it for a second. Where did she put her?
Fedra.
Oh, that's interesting. Who are the Firefly's biggest enemies?
Fedra.
Oh, interesting. So she put her with the biggest enemies of the militia group that she runs to liberate the world, and knows that with Ellie's tenacity, if she is anything like her mother, she will end up a soldier of Fedra. And who are they gonna fucking kill? That to me has always been the reasoning. Like we can talk about it forever. Personally, and we could get into the full debate of it. I would side with Joel on what he did.
Yeah.
And the reason why I
Before
personally
we
would
get to
side
that, though,
there
there's
is
something
because
important.
of something like this.
Yeah, there's something important that we got to bring up. And this actually goes back to your point about them not copying out in gameplay sections and rewriting something to fill the time. They get rid of the bus in the tunnel sequence in this level, and they fill it in with a moment of Joel breaking down the wall for a second and confiding in Ellie that he is that he tried to kill himself. It was an attempted unaliving. Can't say that.
He's a survivor.
And that he couldn't figure out a purpose to live until. And I was bubbling like a fucking baby when he did this. When he said, he didn't say outright. He goes until, and then he looks at her.
Well, yeah, because she goes, oh, well, I guess time heals everything.
Yeah, and he goes,
And then
not
he goes,
not
"Wasn't
every.
time."
Yeah,
Wasn't time.
Exactly.
And there's this beautiful moment between them where there are no words spoken, and you see her change, you see him change, and then she gets up and goes to the next thing.
Yep.
There's no words. They said it without saying it, and they decide it's time to keep going.
And then everything that happens from that point on, it might as well have just been straight. They might as well just taken the script right from the game, because even the ladder puzzle, I love how they threw
The
in
ladder.
They love how they
ladder,
threw in one
baby.
ladder.
One ladder.
We were watching that, and she starts playing with the ladder. I was like, "Oh, the ladder!" And Alexis was like, "Oh, what's important about that?"
I
was
said
like,
the same thing too.
Don't worry about
It's a puzzle.
Yeah, and then But even so, I mean, like that specific ladder, like that plays out the same exact way in the game. I love how they do the shadow through the window thing with the giraffe. And then, man, dude, I guess people have forgot what real animals look like because that everything around the giraffe is fake. The giraffe is real, though.
I think you want it to be real so bad that you believe it's CGI.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's it.
You could have told me it was CGI when I'd been like, yeah, it looks CGI.
My sister literally was like, yeah, that giraffe CGI was horrible. I was like,
It's a real.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Boy, do I have news for you.
I think people also don't realize what a giraffe looks like up close.
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird looking.
It also.
I don't know what they smell like.
I was
either.
like, I think it's real.
Okay.
I knew it had to be real when it took the shit out of her hand and ate it. I was like, okay,
Or it
it's
could have been a
fucking
guy
real.
in a green suit
I was
with
gonna
gloves.
say it's a green suit
It
Muppet.
disappears. It fully disappears. I was like, all right, I think it's real. I think it's real, and it is real. That moment is amazing in the game, and it is amazing in the show.
Yeah.
it is. It's there's not a flaw to it, and
It's her coming back with a bit of humanity.
It's kind of like this. It's like that movie
She's
with
allowed to
Harrison
be a kid
Ford
for a moment.
where he's got the CGI dog. So they had a guy dress up like they basically had him CGIing or on set as the dog, and Harrison
God.
Ford had to like pet this guy.
that Call of the
and
Wind.
and scratch
Wait, go up
behind
to the
his
top.
ears and everything.
Top
This
row.
is why he quit acting.
Keep going.
Wouldn't you?
I
Why?
would.
Wait, who's
I
the
would've
person
quit.
in the suit petting a dog in a suit? What?
That's for them to get the dog animations. They put the dog in mocap in a studio.
Why is the
that's so
person in
cute.
mocap?
Cute he is.
Because sometimes Nick Harrison Ford just can't use them knees like he's.
That's
Are you
true.
kidding?
So
a real Pedro
He's got the
Pascal thing.
build of
So-
a young woman.
let's get into the Jesus Christ. So meat
He's
and
got, those,
potatoes.
he's got those hips.
The meat and potatoes here of this episode. The flashbang comes, knocks them out completely. They wake up in the hospital. Ellie's already getting prepped for surgery, and Joel wants to see her one last time when he wakes up. And
And
then
they let him, and it plays out
Yep,
perfectly.
and it's-
perfectly,
And,
and
he asks,
and
"What do
he's-
you want to do?" And she says, "I want to do it." And he leaves, and
He
everything
says, "Okay,
plays-
baby girl," and then the
and
credits
nothing
roll.
bad happened. No,
I don't think
this
that's
is the
true.
This
My
is,
shirt doesn't have that on it.
This
This
is
shirt.
That's a made-up shirt.
Oh, okay.
This
Yeah,
is
that's
the-
him being led to the hospital, and he just goes, Ellie, I'm so glad to see you.
Hey,
this
in
is-
post, can we get a picture of my shirt?
this is the absolute carnage episode that I feel like everybody was waiting for.
That's beautifully done
mhm.
in like a tastefully disgusting.
Yeah, because it wasn't
Can I,
like
can I disagree again?
No.
fucking guy. All right, go on, tell me.
So to me, I think one of the best parts about this sequence in the game is that it's not only is this a man on a mission, there's all this anarchy, alarms are going off, and there's gunfire, and you're reduced to an animal, and nothing can stop you from going to save that girl.
Yeah.
Where I think it was heightened by all the the chaos and everything. Where this sequence, I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was bad. But to me, I would have liked the panic and where rather than the methodical and piano music.
I slightly
So Nick
agree
said
with.
he was looking for this specifically, which I was a little let down by as well. How come we didn't get
Is
this?
it a flamethrower?
in the
It's
game.
the flamethrower right there.
You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
you fucking animal.
you know,
Joel, no.
God.
so that was an accident.
God damn.
So
Spoiler alert.
I think one of those things is that like they've already kind of set the bar with him being older in this version, and he's not as spry as he is. So running through the hospital,
No.
just murking people. Plus,
Cop out.
the other thing I feel
Bitch.
like is that I feel
Wait
like
till Pat's done.
I feel like it's more menacing to slowly and like
Like the
focus
Terminator.
like just like the boom boom boom. There's a guy in he runs out of ammo, and remember the one guy
He-
drops his gun.
Yep.
He picks up that guy's gun and shoots him in the face. Like that guy gave up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I think I like it better than the game, and here's why. There is an immense payoff if you've been paying attention. And the paying attention part is they do a really good job in episode 1 and episode 2 of alluding to the fact that Joel is terrifying. And it's not terrifying because he like gets in there and he like fucking screams in your face and he goes all animalistic. He is terrifying because all Tess has to do is tell him that someone hurt her, and he disassociates. He goes into this mode of like, I don't fucking, could be a kid. Like that is how fucking.
I'll throw you on a fire.
And you know what? Could even be a deaf kid. Please don't let that.
That's it. That's the cold open right there.
But what I love about it is that what the music that they're playing is the music that plays when he has her in his arms and you're running through the last leg of the game. And what I love about it is that they take it, they remove it from. I keep touching your foot, Pat, with my foot.
I got long
footsies.
legs.
And they do this amazing long take of him just continually walking through the hospital, completely disassociated, man on a mission. He doesn't give a shit who, because the thing is, he makes the realization of if any of them are alive, she won't get out.
Yeah.
And so I have to kill all of them. Because in the game, you don't have to. In the game, you could just stealth your way through that shit, get to the room, and go. Because then they are going to chase after you, and you're going to escape from them anyway, as long as everything goes as it does. But this Joel, what I love about this Joel, is that the whole beginning of this episode was, look at how human he is. He's trying to be a father. He's trying to get her to open up. He's trying to heal her. He wants her to be okay. And the minute that someone he realizes I wasn't there to almost save her the first time, and now if I don't fucking do it again, I'm not gonna. I'd rather die. And so he just rampages through that shit.
And so much of this again is like everybody always loses, and he's seen that through the course of all of this, and he's like, no, like that's not happening.
Not me again.
Yeah.
And it's
sleep.
It's
So-
that cold brutality that, like,
Well,
I agree.
There is one thing actually. This is the only nitpick I really have of the entire show, and it's the fact that if you don't use any weapons on the surgeon before, like, you know how Joel just shoots her right in the fucking head, or him right in the head rather.
It has to be him. It's very important for season 2.
Yes. Is that if you just walk up to
looking at
that
the camera.
surgeon, Joel takes the scalpel out of his hand and just drives it into his throat, which is like,
But this shit is crazy. He's like, I won't let you take her.
He doesn't even look at him when he does it. He just raises his gun and shoots him.
And then there was the tell, which they zoom in on the surgeon's head. I'm like, I'm glad that they added that because they
Yeah.
know they fucked up last time they did that. And then he takes
I
her.
don't think they fucked that
And then we
up.
get the
Why'd they
you
fuck
know
up, Pat? Tell the audience.
one more time.
as it said, and then you get the ultimate line,
Come after her.
when he kills Marlene.
Which we could talk about.
Yeah. So basically, Joel kills everybody. Joel kills the nurses, the doctors.
No, he doesn't kill the nurses. He knows that they won't hurt her.
In the show, he does not kill the nurses. He lets them
Okay,
live.
I torched
and
them nurses.
and they talked about it on the podcast. And the reason is because they've got no gun. They've got nothing to come after.
They got scalpels.
Yeah.
They do have scalpels, but you know what he can just do?
Drive it into their
Fucking
throat.
drive it into their throat.
So he takes her, I got you, baby girl. He takes her out of there, and I love the way that they did it in the show, the same way they do it in the game, where it just cuts to them in the car, and he lies to her about what happened, and then
With more detail this time.
yeah.
Way more detail.
Well, that's the thing I noticed is that like when you have like
It's always a great lie when you make up a ton of
That's
details.
what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like that's exactly like that's kind of like once again that's the tell, right?
Yeah.
So what I really love specifically though is that it cuts, it's that whole thing, and like even Liz was like, once again, this was fun for me to watch her reaction to it because it's like she's like, what? Like
Did he
that's
just
it?
leave?
And then
Yeah.
it cuts back to like he shoots her. And she's on the ground. And it's like, even after all you've done, we can still change this. We can this. And he's like,
You'll never
please
stop
don't
coming
kill
here.
me. And he's just like, you just come after her. And
Which is
just
her
shoots in the
biggest
fucking
mistake,
head.
because if she had just shut the fuck up, he would have left.
Yeah.
And that is like Marlene until the very end could not let this man have the last word.
Mm-hmm.
She would have she trusted him. She made a mistake, and rather than making a mistake and living with it, she tried to fix it.
Well, I don't even think she trusted him. She just used him.
Right.
Like she was like, I know you'll get this job done, and like you're disposable to me.
Right.
I was more disappointed in this Joel for lying to Ellie than the video game Joel. For some reason, maybe it's because you're playing the character.
You didn't do that.
I was more able to understand Joel's reasoning, but watching Pedro Pascal lie, I was like, dude, you just fucked up so bad.
So I will say this. I asked Liz's mom what she thought of the ending because she did watch the entire show. And she said it was a good ending. She wasn't expecting all the brutality at the end. But she said specifically she loves the very last scene because you can tell, I mean, more so with real faces as opposed to like video game creations, is that like she knows that he's lying to her.
Yeah.
However, she takes it at face value because she loves him.
Yep.
And she has no reason
She doesn't
not to
want to
exactly
accept the truth.
And I mean that's a big part of Last of Us Part 2.
Right.
But specifically more in this, are you getting it? Are you?
That's me.
Okay.
It's just having a handheld.
That's Nick every time he disagrees with one of our opinions.
We shock him.
Stop
Shock Mike, dude. So basically
Oh yeah, last 2 weeks ago I was getting shocked left and right.
Mike created a circuit.
Really?
He would touch his laptop and then touch this, and it because of the metal in here and in here, just it wasn't
I'm
great.
thinking more where like you have someone like on a specific mic and they have a shock bracelet on it. Anything you don't like that they say, you just.
I think that would be a fun episode.
I did that to my dog. And
Do
he
I
lost
get-
his voice for a bit.
What the fuck, bro?
God.
He just barked a lot, so we bought him a shock collar.
Oh yeah, that's common.
Oh, okay.
I didn't just hook my dog up to a car battery
Well,
and let it
thank
go.
God you clarified.
So
You hooked it up to the dog's 6 nipples.
pull out your tongue. No. So
I would just like to say I'm not in any way associated with PresentEkey.tv. I do like dogs. I'm not Pat Naparano. I like dogs.
Like and subscribe.
okay. So that being said,
Pat, I love you.
I don't think there's too much more we have to cover as far as the actual ins and outs of the story. We do have some information on what's to come in the future. Specifically, they said we can expect season 2 late 2014, early
2014. Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Damn.
We got to get
Can't wait.
2024.
We can prevent this.
Early 2025. Part 2, they said, is going to be split up into at least 2 seasons. The way that they say that is that naughty if
They say it naughtily.
I was going to say
The way
that
they
naughty,
say that, naughty.
It's going to be split up into at least 2 seasons.
Naughty Dog came out and said that if The Last of Us Part 1 is their debut album, The Last of Us Part 2 is their double album. So there's more story to tell. So they said it's going to be at least split up into
Good.
2 seasons.
Thank God.
With not only nuanced changes, but fundamental changes as well. Now, I know.
Tommy's baby.
So also confirmed as of this morning. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of it. The work on season 2 has already begun.
They've completely
and-
rewritten Abby. She doesn't exist anymore, and the fan base would cheer. Except for me, I would be sad.
We're fans of Abby in this
Oh,
household.
thank God.
We're
Yeah.
Abby people.
Oh, we could talk about this forever then.
Just not on this episode.
We won't talk about it on this episode.
Just
though.
kidding, not forever.
Dude,
What are you pulling
hold
up?
on. All right,
It's
hold on.
great podcasting.
Yeah, great
here.
podcasting right now.
I think just overall for the series, I was really expecting this to be knocked it out of the park, perfect 10s across the board. I don't
there
think
it is.
I
So
don't
this is
think
what
it
they
met.
dropped. This is what they dropped today. Basically, like saying like
Communism.
We're
Communism.
we're starting on Last of Us Part 2. Like they've officially announced this morning, and they said that Abby is coming, as you can tell by the giant muscular, arm and the hammer, which is a throwback to the original trailer for Last of Us Part 2. Last of Us Part 2, where they debuted her, and I love like
And everyone
some
thought
of
she was Ellie's mom.
the comments I see on here are like some of them are like, yes. Let's take it back to the good old days where we speculated who Hammer Lady was. So
Who are we gonna cast as Abby?
I don't.
It's got to be somebody from Game of Thrones. If that narrows it down,
Ronda Rousey, nah.
Jason Momoa.
Sean Bean. Sean Bean
Pedro
as
Pascal
Abby.
again.
Can you imagine?
So,
they're like, we love their dynamic so much that we're gonna make Pedro, Joel, and Abby.
So,
You'll never get rid of
now,
him.
real quick, everyone, this part of the show, we're going into spoilers for Last of Us Part 2, something that it just didn't come up, or the thought of us spoiling that game didn't come up in the conversation because everything was flowing really quick. So if you don't want to get spoiled for Last of Us Part 2, which the game was spoiled before it even came out, so I don't even know how you would get around that at this point, you go ahead and stop now. We all liked it. 3 10s, 1 8, and it was good shit. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Gonna be a mirror scene later on.
I know there's this whole idea about like they're not going to kill Joel for 2 reasons. Is that one, they want
Whoa,
to
you're spoiling it for people who haven't played the second game.
No, is that they're not going to kill Joel for 2 reasons. That one, you can't kill the main character of a TV show. See Game of Thrones.
You idiots.
Especially if it's Pedro Pascal.
Number 2, that it's just like what's it called? It's just they have to earn it, and if you kill him in the first couple episodes, it's just not. They're not going to earn it. But what I think they're going to do is that when they split this into 2 seasons,
I know what you're going to say.
they're going to build this up, and at the end of
It's gonna be the
season
finale.
2, the last episode you will see is him getting the shit beaten out of him with that golf club, and then
Spoilers if you haven't played part
Yeah,
season 3
I don't
is
like,
where they start.
I don't like that we're spoiling
Spoilers.
part
Yeah, but like
2.
I said, they said they're fundamentally changing it, so this could all be bullshit. This could all
but
be
still,
roses and daisies.
I don't like that.
What?
I would cast myself as Abby
Let's
in
cut
part
this
2.
out.
So
Can I get editor? Can you give me? No, I think honestly, I'm very excited for season 2 because I'm a big part 2 fan. I like part 2 better than I like part 1, and I know
now you're just
okay. I'm in the minority, and
You're
I get
just a
it.
contrarian
Yeah,
now.
all right.
Listen, I loved part 2, but this part 1 is perfection.
Part 2 for me, and again, this is not really that episode.
fuck,
This
dude?
is not that episode. What are you doing?
I'm getting to it.
All right. Part 2 for me, and why I'm excited for season 2 is honestly because I think that the thing about part 2 that excites me more than part 1 does is part 2 challenges you a lot more than part 1 does. I think part
Sure.
1 does, and I wouldn't say part 1 plays it safe. You absolute.
One might say it's a Joel in one.
Look at her legs.
Damn it, Pat.
It's this Last of Us spin-off
Grand Theft
game.
Auto, Joel in The
Last
Last of Us golf meme.
John won pro golf.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no! Oh
Brutal.
no! But I wouldn't. Part 1 does not play it safe by any means. It challenges you a lot. But what part 2 does is it challenges you a lot to consider that not everything is as it seems. You cannot just think, because for everybody, people are like, Joel's one of my favorite protagonists, and I don't think I can consider, after playing part 2 and especially after watching the series, and I don't know if this is how other people feel, I really might be a minority, I can't consider Joel a protagonist.
It's like Walter White.
Yes.
It's very similar in like that kind of thing.
And there's something so wonderful
So it makes him
about,
interesting.
Right.
But that doesn't make him not a protagonist. That just makes him not a hero.
He's an anti-hero.
He's an
I
anti-hero.
think
Taylor
no,
Swift.
I would. Okay.
I don't know if I would consider him a protagonist because I think
Is
when
he
I
the
think-
main character in the game, and he's the one
Can someone
driving
pull
the
up a
story?
But
definition
hold
of
on.
protagonist?
Protagonist is the character that moves the story forward. The antagonist is what's stopping the story. That's what it's defined as in literary.
So
So,
then
like,
I would
so
not-
yes,
okay.
he is a protagonist.
I would not
Like,
call him a hero by any means,
Sure.
and I
Yeah,
wouldn't call
better.
him. I wouldn't call him a. I think what's hard is that people consider Joel. People do not consider Joel's flaws as a character, and I'm worried that because of how much people love Pedro, and I love Pedro a lot, I actually. Oh God, I'm so sorry for whatever happens next. I actually think Pedro Pascal is a better Joel Miller than Troy Baker.
You get the fuck right out of here.
And here's
Get
why.
out of here.
Because I think Troy Baker is wonderful as Joel. They are both Joel. They are both Joel in every single way. They have their own ways of being Joel. But what I love about Pedro Pascal's Joel more than I think I love about Troy Baker's, and this just might be like a live versus video game comparison. I love.
How many polygons he has?
Yep.
Infinity.
I love Pedro Pascal's arc more than I love Troy Baker's. I think Pedro Pascal portrays maybe visually a little less because there's a lot of episodes 1 and 2 and 3 where he's just a little stoic. But what I love about it is that you can see the humanity in Pedro Pascal and the constant conflict, more than you can tell it, because, and maybe that's because
It's just live action.
yeah, and I
honestly.
think that just might
Also,
be it.
that's not a performance thing, I think, as much as writing.
For sure. And they had a lot. They had. What did you play? Play it again.
What?
What?
I think this is a hindsight is 2020 thing, right? If Troy Baker was playing Joel now, it would be different. It would be different.
I would, in another universe, I would love to see this whole thing, but just Troy Baker instead of
And Ashley
Pedro.
Johnson, or
No,
still Bella Ramsey.
Still Bella Ramsey.
Interesting.
All right. Well, I guess with that said, we got nothing else to add, right, guys?
I was just saying before you pulled up the hammer picture, I was really expecting when this first started going and we watched episode 1, I was like, this is gonna be fucking perfection, best thing I've ever seen, and it didn't meet that for me. So if we're gonna give it our regular rating system, I think I would give it like an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Wow.
What are you? I'll just put it like this: 5 is mediocre, 6 is okay, 7 is good,
Yeah.
8 is great. Like,
I would give it a 9.4.
okay,
9.4.
okay.
I'm just giving it a 10. It's one of the best seasons
Yeah, I'd
of
give it a
television
10
I've ever
too.
seen.
It's not only the
We're not
best-
gonna play it safe. Then
It's
I'm
not,
gonna give
it's
it.
not only the best. It's not only one of the best seasons of television I've ever seen in my life. It's literally the best video game adaptation that has ever existed, and that's what it's first and foremost.
exists.
That was its first and foremost objective. That was its job, to be an adaptation of this story for a different medium and a wider audience. And despite the fact where, like, I have some of the biggest criticisms are like the lack of infected, a rushed pacing in some parts, maybe some things that didn't feel too earned. All that put aside, I still felt more things from these 9 episodes of television than I have felt in a single one of those fucking Disney Plus shows that we've been shotgunning for years. You know what I mean? At this point,
Yeah.
I don't
So-
think their mediocrity makes this better.
No, but it certainly puts things into perspective for you when you
it's-
really get
yeah.
something that's awesome.
You feel fed. You have
Yeah.
the stew.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
feel fed.
You feel like you've been fed by a bunch of humans.
You feel
know?
Fedra, one might say.
For me, the analog for this is obviously Westworld. I've referenced it before. That first season of Westworld, I was like, holy shit, this is the best thing I've ever seen. This, I was like, I really enjoyed that.
Fair enough.
That's where
That
I'm
is
at.
fair.
Mike.
Oh yeah, it's the clip of the week. Oh, it's the clip of the week. It's the clip of the week.
Oh yeah, we got a good one.
You do
Baltimore,
clip of the week?
Maryland.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh my god!
It's that scene from
Holy shit! Did not see that
Talk
coming.
about the largest
Wait,
auto,
wait. He's like, I'm okay.
the largest auto insurance claim known to man.
And then a bunch of infected crawl out from
I don't
the
know,
ground
man. It's
and they rip them in
Baltimore.
half.
That building might be worth like $15.
I love the sirens. the sirens and everything were perfect.
There was some debate. Whether
Oh, did somebody get hit? Why is it blurred?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Oh, now I'm not.
Oh,
And
that person is
now we've-
definitely dead.
oh,
my
oh,
god! She got
no,
Oh my
no,
God.
no, that's not.
That's the bumper,
that's
right?
the bumper. There was some debate.
Where's the
online
person?
in the building?
No, the person is dead. We watched. Great, Pat.
We have
Great.
just watched.
Play it again.
Inadvertently. Yeah, that's the bumper for
I need
sure.
to wait. Where's the fucking person?
Dude, they're dead.
I will. Yeah, but I
What do
want
you
to
mean
see.
where? Under
I want to
brick?
see the frame by frame.
Oh, wait. So they get thrown.
They get hit by something.
No, that's the bump. They get hit
No,
by the
they
car.
Get hit by the car, and then a building drops on them.
I think they're under the black car at
Wait.
this
Pull
point.
it.
To be
Pull it
honest.
back before the bumper even comes off.
This is the clip of the week, baby.
All right.
Oh,
one
yeah.
one frame at a time.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Now they're blurred.
They're still there. They're
now
blurred.
I'm not even sure.
They're
okay.
blurred.
Because look, here's the bumper right here.
And
Yeah.
there's the person.
That's the bumper
Now
getting
the-
thrown
now the
off.
person's gone.
No, the person is that
The
black.
person is
you
that
see that
black-
black? Yeah, right there.
Square.
That pixel right there is the person.
And
then
now they've been evaporated.
I want to point out across the street.
Oh, I think they might be in between the
Look
cars.
across the street.
No
the sidewalk
shoot.
says no shoot.
No shoot.
No shoot.
No shoot.
No. Shoot.
Oh no. Shoot.
Yeah. So I'll be
no,
clear.
shoot.
I didn't know that there was a person in
Hey,
this
that's
video
fine, man.
until we watched it together.
What is this a security camera?
I think so.
How
yeah.
does it pan so
This
quickly?
is the best security camera
Yeah.
I've ever seen. Best, it
Oh
got good audio.
My God, that person is dead.
Several people are dead.
Hey, wait, where's the guy waving?
Wait, I'm okay.
Boy, that was wild, wasn't it?
You guys just see that?
Dude, this is the worst day. He's like, I've been having such a shit week, and then this happens.
And he's like, "Oh man, I just want to go home to my wife and eat some dinner."
He's got Taco Bell in the passenger
That's
seat.
what he's holding out. That's what he's pulling out. That little white bag right there.
Uber Eats driver.
Oh no!
Your order has been compromised.
It's somebody on the other end.
It
Like,
shows
these fucking drivers.
Dude,
Man.
they show the car on the map, and then it's just gone.
the guy's like, "Jennifer, the DoorDash just disappeared. We are never using DoorDash ever again. I told you
I'm
Uber
taking my
Eats
tip
was
away."
Better.
Another full refund for this meal, I guess. Yeah, I love the because there was some debate over whether like
That
it
was the person
was that
or-
a person, but I was like, nah, that's the bumper. There's not nobody in that shit. But no, I love that. I was like, damn, yo, talk about like the worst thing that could possibly happen after you hit a building is that it falls on you. You know,
I don't think there was much else that could have been worse.
Pat,
it explodes.
I think this is the best clip you've brought. This is my
Here we go. Here we go.
This is my favorite clip that you've ever brought.
Oh yeah, compared
That's
to
on God, baby girl.
Dreamed I saw my maternal grandmother.
That one was different. That's
I let
different.
her
That one.
have her way.
That one just made me sick.
So-
This one was exciting. It was sad. It was action
I went
packed.
through a range of
Yeah.
emotions.
The
All right.
Jordan Peterson clip was just sickness.
So, with that said, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning into episode 106 of Press Any Key. Once again, you can find us on all social media at pressantykey.tv. Leave a comment, share with your friends, like this video. Thank you very much to our special guest
Thank you,
tonight.
Zach.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, you're always
Happy
you're
to be
welcome
here.
back anytime. Just let me know.
That was a dangerous thing that
yeah,
you just said.
yeah, I know. I know.
We'll
I
see you
will.
in 2.5 years when the next season comes out.
I'm like, yeah, I'll be back, guys. Guys, season 2 just wrapped. It's 2026. I think I can come back
Pat's
now.
dead, bro.
We need a new host.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
like, oh,
We need a new host.
darn.
All right. So thanks so much, everyone, again, and we will see you next week for John Wick and Resident Evil 4. Bye-bye.
Oh, shit, yeah.